I'm just going to give it a whole rundown. He said, scratch that, we're going to try again. Falls a little bit into a no-man's zone here, a little bit into the far left corner. And ball control, getting a little sloppy for Wilson Central. That is a little uncharacteristic for them. Yeah, constantly hitting those posts. And obviously you're taught, you know, it's better to overshoot than undershoot when you're looking at the goal because you're trying to work right around. And, of course, if you hit that backboard, there's likely going to be a teammate right behind you. But, of course, as we saw from Wilson Central, there's only 3 players on the field, and once that third rebound comes through, you're all out of gas and there's no shot to be had. Is a great attack and response from the sides. We are now entering the second half of the game, and this has been a mighty low-scoring one. We had quite a few high-scoring games this weekend. There was a 15-0 at one point. We had a 9-0 earlier today, but this one, tooth and nail to the bitter end. 2:23 on the clock, 2-1 on the scoreline of the sites. They are not letting Wilson walk away with this one easily. 2 minutes in a game like Rocket League, I mean, that is like years of time. In other games, 2 minutes might not be that long, but when you think about the fact we have nearly half the game left to be played, there is more than enough time for the sites to make this magic happen. Yeah, and that booming pinch was really brutal and nearly goes to Sean to look for a shot, and now potentially has a little bit of space, tries to find the rebound, but the sides are able to clear it away. And Apostrophe with an awkward takeoff leaves it for Bruiser, not quite enough. As this is what you expect to see from Wilson Central players, teams of this caliber, is just constantly moving around the defense, stealing as much boost of theirs as you can, and making it difficult to survive, as for Apostrophe just clipping the post. I like DPK's play here. They absolutely could have gone in center there and gone for the spike right in the goal, but instead they played it slow in case there was a miss, and there was. So them being there was huge because it gave Wilson Central the opportunity to maintain ball control and keep this over-aggression alive. We've got 85 seconds left on the clock, and the pressure is on against the sites. If they lose this one, Turbo, their very tournament lives will be on the line. Yeah, that they will, but I mean, they've shown some great resilience. They've shown some opportunities as Sean takes a shot, speedy towards the net, but Skiddly-Dum cleans it out, and oh, what a follow-up from Mecro, and an immediate transition, and that's the trouble with Wilson's aggressive playstyle. They bring everyone forward, and what happens when there's one good clear? Just like this, Mecro's going to take advantage every single time. I mean, Mecro making Wilson say, uh-oh, just coming in quick. There are 70 seconds left on the clock. We have tied things up, and this is where it gets interesting. We have seen so many 3-0s this weekend, but folks, this is the best of the best we are looking at right now. We've got 65 seconds left on the clock. The next goal could very well be our last, and ball control currently in favor of Wilson. Can they find a little bit of action and clear it down into center field? Nobody's there to catch it, and it is passed right into Skiddly, who's going to try to clear it back down toward the goal of Wilson Central. Sean, a great pinch off the corner. Can they find the foul? No, it's a fake off the corner, but still, it's caught by the sides. It's still, I mean, just up in the air in overtime. I don't know if y'all can smell it, but I feel an overtime brewing in our near future. I think it's certainly possible. And right there's a big miss from DPK, but now Sean, with lots of space, gets past Gaming Burger, and that's an empty net. There was no boost on the defense because of these rotations that Wilson Central have been able to find, and this is what happens. Sean, actually, no, Gaming Burger, yeah, exactly, strangled for boost, tries to pick it up, but Sean just too fast and steals a goal away, and now it's going to be very tough for Lubbock to come back from this one. Sean too fast, and Gaming Burger is furious. 35 seconds left on the clock. Looking for the opportunity to strike will be the sights, but like you said, Turbo, 30 seconds left. I mean, 2 minutes was plenty of time, right? But you were down to 30 seconds. You need to find one goal. You then need to force an overtime, find a second to win the game and take Wilson Central at the very least to a game 4. But as this clock continues to tick down, the smaller that number gets, the harder this becomes for the sights. And as ball control remains in favor of Wilson Central, it's all that harder. Yeah, but I'm going to say I don't like how aggressively Wilson Central was playing off of that initial kickoff. Now, while they did bring Bruiser back and Sean's ready for a potential counter, when you reach the point that, you know, you've reached that golden goal, you have 30 seconds left, you just need to survive, play keep away. You don't need to be attacking, you just need to be passing between teammates. Whether that means you're going across the midfield, you're looking infield, you're going for back passes. All of those are great options. As we can see, DPK with his classic Stetson on has been wearing it in regionals, in regular season, and of course, as we can see now in the quarterfinals. I don't think I've ever seen him without it, actually. Now that you say that, I don't think I've ever seen him without it, so I'm a little bit curious. And something I do want to talk about again is we are seeing a numbers improvement from the sites, not only in number of goals, but number of shots on goals. We saw 4 that time compared to the 3, and you know, the Wildcats doing Wildcat things. They're hanging out at a large 12 shots on goal, 3 of those being a success. So realistically, what is that, 25% of the time they're finding shots on goal? Not the greatest, but hey, it's getting the job done, right? Yeah, and I mean, when you can just find enough shots, and of course, gonna say there were more goals saved than there were actually scored by the Wildcats when you're looking at the side's number of saves. You got 4 across the board. Really, Mecro and Skiddly doing an absolutely amazing job, and of course, Gaming Burger and Mecro finding those key goals. And
again, when you have these very, very aggressive teams, if they run themselves out of boost on the attack, there's nothing to try and get back to their own defensive half. And one big clear can be all that you need to get the job done.
Without a doubt. And there's something, a very small thing, that I think I would like to see from the side of the sites. I can't help but notice Gaming Burger's been rocking the truck all series long. It's not the Octane, it's not the Dominus, and it's not the Mobile, right? There's 3 vehicles that come out very often. That truck is not one of them. Now, is that a comfort pick for Gaming Burger? Maybe, but if it's not, you've got to wonder, maybe we fall back to what is considered the quote-unquote meta, the most effective tactic available. Maybe we go back to what everybody else is making happen, and I don't know. Maybe it's Gaming Burger's comfort zone, but it doesn't feel like it's very comfortable.
Yeah, it seems like there have been a few missed touches, and as there's actually a save and then into an own goal. Prepostrophe diming up the sides for their own net. This is just an absolutely brutal position to be in, as it was initially a save away, but the rotation was too quick. Skillydom couldn't find his way out of there, and first goal goes over to the Wildcats. But on the point you were making, Septilence, is that when we're talking about these hitboxes in these different cars, there's a few different stock hitboxes. There's only 7 of them in Rocket League as a whole, and everything else is sort of a design layered on top. But most players think that the Octane, which is that sort of small buggy style that you're seeing from most of these players, is the ideal car form, or the Fennec, which looks like a small SUV, if you will, and of course the Dominus, which is a long flat plank. If I'm not mistaken, that truck, the F-150, is a Dominus body, but with that cab, it is just that much longer than the Dominus physically looks. So sometimes you can catch yourself with a phantom hitbox where it feels like it should hit the ball, and you might not. Now, of course, if you're comfortable with it, if that's what makes you play better, it's great. Right. As we see Sean with an amazing save right there as the Wildcats look to extend their lead and go back onto offense.
Wildcats 1 minute down in what could very well be the 3rd and final game of this series. They've got the 1 point, and weirdly enough, 1 point's all you need to win, and we have seen many a 1-0, and that's something I'm sure we will see at least once this weekend. This is going to be a rough one. Wildcats, a little bit of action here in the corner, looking for an opportunity to kind of get out of their own back third. It looks like they're stuck. A really strong pressure from the sides, but the follow-up still missing. I made that comment back in Game 1. I'm still seeing that problem here in Game 3. It's that lack of follow-up. The plan is there. The plan is in place, but no one's there to catch it. And speaking of people not being somewhere to catch things, Gaming Burger with an open goal to strike off the back of.
Yeah, Bruiser just thought he had so much more time. Sean was pushed so far forward off of the front post, and Prepostrophe is gearing up for a counterattack because both Bruiser and Sean should be aggressively pushing that touch out of Gaming Burger, but instead both get awkward, they stumble, and that's what happens when you're indecisive in a game of Rocket League. For 1/2 second, if you're debating, should I go, should I not go, that decision has caused you to miss the ball entirely and be completely out of position for the play.
I mean, the sides are keeping Wilson at an arm's length here. They are giving them an absolute run for their money in this first series. We saw this exact same thing happen back in Game 2. I would love to see it actually come to fruition in Game 3, and I'd love to see the sides force a Game 4. They are kind of the quote-unquote wild card, Cinderella story, whatever you choose to call them, and I would love to see them give Wilson a run for their money. But Sean, whether I want that or not, he simply does not care. They are here for one thing and one thing only, and that is not to entertain Septilence. They are here to come in first place. They are here for that victory, and like I said, they will take down anybody they have to get there.
Yeah, and if you see in the bottom, 79 miles an hour. That is no joke when it comes to Rocket League. Your car actually taps out at right around 51 miles per hour of the in-game speed engine. So you're looking at a ball that is going effectively 1.5 times the speed of your maximum speed of your car, which just goes to show how quick it's coming by, how it's so difficult to read, and honestly the talent out of Sean to find the right angles, because those types of shots only come with tons of practice and very, very precise angles and redirects.
Half the third game gone. Will Wilson win by only a single point to move on to the next part of the bracket? Okay, you know what? Sean heard me. He said we're not winning by 1. We're going to go ahead. We're going to get at least 2. We've got 2.5 minutes left. They are going to make this number go as high as possible. It's so funny because even in the collegiate scene, when I talk to the players, we talk about this. I say, you know, when you've got more points, when you're comfortable with your number, why don't you just kind of play a complicated game of keep away? Why don't you just make sure the other team doesn't score? And they always tell me, they say, Septilence, we're going to score as many times as we can. They're like, we don't care if we win or lose. It's about finding that score and making that number as high as possible. It's almost a bragging rights thing.
It's as much, you could say it's a bragging rights thing as Gaming Burger barely gets it away as Mekro saved it on the goal line. It's as much about bragging rights, but it's also the caliber of play.
Very true.
You need as deep a safety net as possible because most analysts consider a 2-goal safety net. Now it's extended to 3 with Sean tapping 1 more in. But
it's a hat trick for Sean.
Yeah, hat trick for Sean. Congratulations to him. Has been absolutely putting up numbers all weekend long. But again, the greater you make that divide, because we've seen multiple times teams score twice in 30 seconds.
Yes.
3 times or more in those time frames. And the fact of the matter is, kickoff goals just potentially like this, Sean finds the save, can change the pace of a game and can completely upend whatever net you thought you had, as Mekro with a rough save, but once again taken away by the orange half as 1:47 on the clock, and this may be the end for Lubbock High.
As the Golden Bears learned earlier today, those kickoff goals go crazy. I mean, absolutely. They found 3 in 1 game. It was absolutely absurd. I've never seen anything like it. But now, as we enter the final 90 seconds here, I mean, Turbo, we are looking at 1 goal per 30 seconds, and that's just to draw it up. That is not to find a victory. That's to force an overtime. It's Apostrophe from downtown sinks it into goal. That's going to be the 5th point on the side of Wilson Central High School. Said it at the beginning. I'll say it here at the end. This is just Wilson Central doing Wilson Central things.
Yeah, this is just them playing their game, and Apostrophe really does put a period on this series, as, of course, this is going to be Wilson Central moving forward in dominating fashion, but I think not the results they might have expected. This has been close. They didn't just shut out Lubbock, and with nearly another goal being scored by Mekro, this is not the Wilson Central that we saw, score 10 goals in one game. This is not the Wilson Central that has been so dominant. And even that, we're seeing traffic on the goal line, and still DPK able to slot one in. Maybe they're looking for that Brazil, but still, this has been a team under pressure at times. And from the number 13 seed in the entire tournament, that is not what you expected, but it also speaks to how good every single team is. You had to be the best among upwards of 50 or 60 teams to get here. And the fact that you're just on stage in the top 8 is something to be proud of.
Without a doubt, Turbo, without a doubt. And Wilson Central High School, their intention in Game 1, we talked about this, was to send a message. And I'll be honest, I think a message was sent, but I'm not sure it's the message they implied. I think a message was sent from the sites. They have shown us the giant bleeds. They have shown us there are ways to get points on this seemingly unbeatable team. There are ways to complete this Herculean task, just as Hercules himself once did. There are ways to come through and beat this team. And I'll be honest, Turbo, I think there are a couple teams that can do it. There are quite a few teams remaining in our roster that I would not be surprised to see them take Wilson Central at least to a Game 5.
Yeah, I completely agree. If you want to look at those teams, of course, we'll get to them later in the bracket, but Lake Wales, you look at Sour Limes, so many teams that are all at this super high level as DPK maybe looks for one more as a bit of a demo onto Apostrophe. But I think back to the interview that we had with Apostrophe after their highest scoring series, where I think that they scored over 40 goals in one series alone in 3 games. That is something that does not regularly happen in Rocket League. And we asked them, what was it? What was the purpose? Was it an intimidation check? And he said, absolutely. We want to show the entire field that there's a level of dominance that you should expect from us and that we are going to deliver.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I would say, I'm sure there's a couple players out there might be shaking in their boots a little bit. Wilson Central comes out. They're just as good as they supposedly were. They've proven it time and time again. They take one team down. Only a few more until that end. They are danger close to making that 2020 dream come true.
Yeah, exactly. Apostrophe has been dreaming of this moment. I mean, this entire roster have been playing together for so long, all working towards this moment. And now just trying to finally make it happen. It's amazing to see.
All right, so the season comes to an end for the Lubbock Scythe. They put up a fight in that Game 2, but Wilson Central sweeps it 3-0. Guys, looking at Lubbock, Gaming Burger did a lot of the heavy lifting for them, but then you look at Wilson Central, I feel like they were really spreading the wealth around there. A lot of Apostrophe, obviously, Sean, but even Bruiser had 2 goals in the first game, another one in the third. What was the difference on their side?
So this is something that I talk about a lot, what I think separates good and great teams. A lot of good teams will have one player, often referred to as the striker, who will go in and find goal after goal after goal, and the other 2 will just kind of set them up to do so. Those teams will always get smoked by the greats. And I think this is a great example of the greats. It's a team where if you take one player out of the equation, the other 2 are immediately ready to step up and fill that position. It's not designating specific roles to your team. It's having a team that can be so fluid that they can all do whatever needs done.
Yeah, exactly. When you have that sort of depth of roster, as I like to call it, where you can have someone who gets it clear off the goal line, can pick that ball up midair and shoot in the same tank of gas, that is a talent that most players can't reach. But the fact of the matter is the great teams are the ones who can do it, and we've seen it out of Bruiser, Sean, and Propostrophe. They all have that potential to just completely turn around, switch up the game. They can be a passer, they can support, they can go for demos. All of them have almost every single thing in the arsenal available to them.
And another thing about Wilson Central is they are the type of team that really utilizes the fact Rocket League's a three-dimensional game. A lot of teams will play low on the ground, but I mean, Wilson, they're going above you, behind you, in front of you, to your left, and your right. They utilize every single available inch of the arena, and that's what I think makes them a great team. They don't keep all four wheels on the ground. Some of them might be in the air more than they're on the ground, and that's a very tough thing to do.
It's almost like a pick your poison, and you see it in a lot of different sports. You try to take out the main playmaker. Yep. Well, guess what? There's all these other guys who can make you look silly. Is there anything that surprised you about the sweep?
I mean, first thing that stood out to me is the fact that the sides, when I saw them earlier, didn't seem like a team that could have, taken down a squad like Wilson Central. But we saw moments that they were tied. We saw moments that they were placing pressure onto this Wildcat roster, and that is not something that I've seen really all weekend. I've not seen a team apply real pressure to this team, and while yes, they didn't have the strongest group to get through, this was still a very, very impressive showing. And we also have to remember that the Lubbock High sides, they beat one of the favorites to at least top 4 in this tournament, the Sheehan High School Titans, and the fact of the matter is, that squad didn't even make it to quarters, and we can see why with Lubbock really putting pressure onto Wilson Central.
I mean, I had Sheen in my top 3, my little prediction sheet. I had him top 3 in there. I mean, when Turbo told me, I hardly believed. I was like, there's no way the Titans are out of here. I knew that team so well, but I mean, Lubbock, they really worked hard to get where they were. And I've got to say, I spent a lot of that series talking positive about Wilson, so I don't mind saying this. I'm surprised that we saw as many cracks in the armor as we did. For them to be drawn so early so many times in this series was really surprising to me. This is the type of team that I would not be surprised if they walk away in first place. But to see a series start off so rough, that shows that they are absolutely beatable.
Yeah, and one thing I actually think is great about Lubbock High in their program is they actually have 2 squads that they actually had qualify here. You had the Boosters and the Size. Of course, the Boosters didn't make it to this bracket, but the fact of the matter is it's sort of iron sharpens iron. You have two teams that are competing at this level that can scrim against each other, find each other's weaknesses, pound them into the ground, and get them ready for matchups like this.
All right, so a lot to be proud of for Lubbock High School. The Wildcats moving on to the semifinal round, and to hear from the winning team, we're going to go out to the gaming floor where Dor is speaking to one of the team members. Dor.
Hey, thank you guys so much for having me down here. Wildcats, first off, congratulations on the big win. You guys are the first ones to take it through this playoffs bracket. I got to ask, you guys have been on stream before. Is it different now that you're in that single elimination? Does it feel that much better, Sean?
It definitely does. It does feel much better. I mean, especially getting this win and actually being here instead of being at home. Being at home makes it really good, but being here is just even better with all the camera crews and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm sure it makes it feel really special and just feel like a real event of all things. And clearly the pressure was on up there. You guys got a really clear win out of game number 1. But watching you guys, there's still some clear strategic talk going into game number 2. Was it trying to proactively adapt, or was there trying to just keep the status quo? What was going on through your head, Propostrophe?
I was having controller issues, so I was like, I don't trust myself going for the ball, and it was putting my 2 teammates out of position. So I was like, well, if I can't hit the ball, might as well hit the other team. So, so I just started going for demos, and then luckily Sean and DPK was able to put it through the net, and it worked out. So hopefully I can do better.
Hey, I thought it was phenomenal. Now, DPK, it was clear you were just a ball of energy up there. Do you have that energy for the rest of the weekend?
I don't know, man. If we're playing 2 series one day, if I got to keep my energy, I'm probably not going to do it for the finals.
Hey, we'll see if you guys can keep it up. Thank you guys for popping down. Good luck in your next round. And, of course, thank you for the desk. We're going to send it back up to you guys for the rest of it.
Thank you, Dor. Hey, I hope he keeps the energy level up. All right, we got our second quarterfinal match on the way. Stay tuned. We'll be back after this message. Welcome back to the 2022 EGF High School National Championship. We have one team sending it to the semifinals. We are about to start our second match of the day. I'm in studio, Grace Remington with Jay Turbo and Septolins. But guys, before we move on to the next match, I want to recap the one we just saw a little bit. What was the pivotal moment, you think, of the Wildcats and the Scythe? Yeah, so I'm going to say, I think pivotal moment, we're looking at Game 2. The sides have just sort of responded to a very dominant Game 1. They tie things up 1-1, and then Sean slots one in, I think past 2 in traffic. And the fact of the matter is, once that happens, you know, the sides sort of, all of the wind in their sails gets taken right out. All of that momentum firmly transitions over to the Wildcats, and it makes the game that much harder to play. And then we saw that momentum carry through into Game 3, where it was a 4-1 finish. And I think I just have to agree. I mean, looking at it statistically, that was the momentum shift. But looking at it from just a viewership standpoint, that goal was insane. It was a needle thread through 2 defenders whose entire job was to make sure he did not do just that. So the fact that he was able to get in, find that shot, and really seal the deal, I think, right there in that moment is what made that series difference. Yeah, you guys mentioned momentum plays a big role in these games. Looking ahead, it looks like we have the Retro Rams and the Sour Limes coming up next. What do you guys like about this matchup? Now, I will say, had this matchup not happened right now, this would be our grand finals. I am almost 100% sure. These are 2 of the statistically strongest teams. The Rams in particular are, I mean, the team I'm most familiar with, the team that I've known the longest, and I have seen them win many a tournament beforehand. But the Sour Limes, they come in, their seeding was a little bit lower than I expected, but they were worth their weight in gold. They took down as many people as they needed to make it to these playoffs, and they are looking to do just that. I think we may have skipped ahead a little bit too much. That's my bad, guys. Let's go back to the Wildcats and the Scythe. This is the Intel moment of the match, the one we just talked about. Yeah, as we're looking at this, you can see it's an initial clear out. It looks like Lubbock is trying to formulate some sort of attack, and then right here, Apostrophe gets in traffic. Sean slots it right into the top corner, and right there, you're seeing that mechanical ability, that placement that some of these players are known for, just coming in clutch where no one can really defend that. I don't care what level you're playing at, that's going in the net. I mean, those top corner goals are near impossible, too. I mean, those are insanely difficult to hit. You'd think, oh, just hit the funny box, but to get it up into the top corners, I mean, that is difficult. Yeah, it's incredibly tough, and I mean, it just goes to show how, of course, the Wildcats can hit empty nets, but when it matters most, when you have the smallest window of opportunity, they're going to throw it right there. All right, so who are your players to watch in this upcoming match? That's my problem with the Rams, is they're such a good example of Wilson Central as well. All 3 of them are the type of team that if one goes down, if one gets demoed early, the other 2, you blink and they're in position. They're exactly where they need to be. And this team in particular is, I think, the most, I don't know how to say this, the most team-based team. I don't think we're going to be seeing a lot of individual gameplay. I think we're going to be seeing a lot of action. Oh. Yeah, and if you look at both of these teams, or it seems that I think we're supposed to be getting the Rams versus the Sour Limes, as we have Palm Beach. This is the Retro Rams versus Pensacola Sour Limes.
The logo.
Correct. Yeah,
the
logos threw us off. They had a completely different logo from when we were in doing the group stage. But again, looking at these 2 teams, you've got the Pensacola Sour Limes. They placed very, very well in Season 9, didn't play in Season 10. The Rams, a newcomer, showing up, going 7-1. But the thing is, the Limes, they took this offseason, and instead of falling behind, they really did ramp it up. They've shown how strong they can be coming from the 11 seed. Yes. And of course, the Rams seeded number 9, but really only because they only had 1 season of points to qualify, because teams qualified for both their points in Season 9 and Season 10. The Rams only played Season 10, and they still made it here. They were still in that top 16, showing their strength, showing how good they are. And for me, the player to watch is going to be JB King Gamer, just because when we were in group stage, and they were playing up against the Bellevue Buccaneers, and they needed to get things started. When they were down 0-2, both times it was JB to get the ball rolling, to get things started. You want to talk about a Lanimal. JB King Gamer is absolutely a Lanimal. There was a time yesterday, I think Turbo just mentioned this, it was 3-3, 0 seconds on the clock, and JB sinks a buzzer beater goal to secure a 3-1 victory over their opponents, and it is probably the coolest play that I've seen all weekend. It was a breathtaking moment and a huge play to happen there. I think these teams, I mean, these really are Titans clashing. Yeah, this really is a clash of the Titans. As the Sour Limes, the only team they lost to this entire weekend
was, of course, the #2 seed, the #1 coming out of Season 10 in the Lake Wales Highlanders. As we take a look at the bracket, of course, they're waiting in the wings for whoever does win that play-in match between Bellevue and Cherry Hill. But looking at this next matchup, it's going to be the Rams or the Sour Limes to face the winner of that Lake Wales matchup. And most people are favoring Lake Wales, but I believe that the Buccaneers and Cherry Hill both have the potential to maybe do something insane and create a Cinderella story of their own.
I mean, I'm right there with you, Turbo. I think there's potential for this to go either way, and I think it's all going to be back to our favorite M word, momentum. It's going to be who's coming out the gate hot, who finds that first goal, and then if a team finds a first goal, how quickly is that answered? How fast is it going to be a 1-1 scoreline? Will we reach a 1-1 scoreline? It really comes down to the mentality these players are bringing to the table today.
And you look at the seedings, these two teams are about to see ranked 9th and 10th, and you guys have mentioned it before. Even though they're in the middle of the pack, the competition level is just so good from top to bottom.
Yes.
Can you speak to that?
Yeah, I mean, really speaking to the Rams, of course, they came in out of Season 10, a newcomer. This was their inaugural season, if I'm not mistaken, in EGFH. They showed up, went 7-1 in the regular season, went 3-1, only losing in finals, second in Central to Wilson Central, who we just saw absolutely dominate. And the fact of the matter is, if those Wildcats are the only thing stopping you, these Rams are going to be charging forward like nobody's business.
I'm right there with you. I think it's just going to be all about who is paying attention to who knows the opposing team better, and that's a tough thing because inaugural season, these are newer teams. They don't have hundreds of VODs to go back and watch. It's going to be all about that adaptation, and you know, my favorite comparison, which one of our teams is going to be proactive, who's going to be reactive, because that reactive team I almost always consider to be the team on the back foot.
All right, I got a question for you guys because you keep talking about these Lanimals. What do I got to do to get on that level? What's it take to be a Lanimal?
You have to unlock your 6th chakra or something because those kids, they're on stage and it's so funny because it's always the kids you least expect. They're up there, they're screaming, they're jumping out of their seats, and it's all about the experience and the moment. That's one of my favorite things about what we're doing right now is like almost every kid in there is getting that moment this weekend. They get that time where they're winning on a main stage or they're winning what felt like an unbeatable game. And it's that love of esports that is just fueling them in those moments. When you become the Lanimal, it is just raw esports energy.
Yeah, it is raw. As it's really just incredible to see these players just completely unlock.
Yeah.
We saw a lot of those moments in the last matchup. You guys become Lanimals when you're calling these games. All right, here we go right now.
All right, yeah. This is a series I was looking forward to. The second I found out this was one of the games, I was all over it. I am eager to see what's brought to the table here. The Rams versus the Sour Limes, two teams ready to fight tooth and nail. And Murda Caps, we had the opportunity to interview him yesterday. Real power player, amazing mindset about fighting until the bitter end, wanting to walk away with that victory.
Yeah, they said, you know, we came here to win. They didn't care about Wilson Central. They didn't care about Lake Wales. They know that they're a good team. They know that they work well together. And right there, we can see Unbelime and so many players getting caught in traffic.
I mean, yeah, talk about traffic. Hey, there he is, Murda Caps, early out the gate. And Turbo, you're 100% correct. He said, we know there's other schools here that are maybe more well-known than us, maybe a little more experienced than us. He said, but we are willing to take every single one of them down if we have to. And this team, this is the type of team, they say it and they mean it. They aren't talking smack for the camera. They're not trying to create some online drama. They mean it. They will go toe-to-toe with the largest of giants here at EGFH, and they are already proving they've got quite some big shoes to fill.
Yeah, and players to watch when you're looking at the Sour Lives. Unable Lime, and if I'm not mistaken, it is Bacon Boy. Those two players, very fast, like to play aggressive, and Dozy, that third-man finisher. That's the sort of structure you'll see. You'll see Unable Lime step up, and then either Bacon Boy or Dozy come in and follow up. And right here, Unable Lime getting that first goal.
Unable Lime, plenty able to find a goal. Let me tell you what, I mean, that is just a great way to open things up. We're hardly a minute into the matchup. We see a 1-1 scoreline, and this is what I think the rest of the series is going to look like. Close goals, microsecond decisions, making or breaking plays for these. And now JB King Gamer, I think, like you mentioned, probably the name to watch for a majority of what we've got going on today.
Yeah, absolutely. As Bacon Boy with a risky clear sets things up for Murda, but once again cleared away by the Limes as, of course, the Rams are in the blue, Limes in the orange.
Unable Lime. Speaking of Limes, Unable Lime, unable to get that ball out of center field. Luckily enough, the teammate going to be there to catch it. JB King Gamer, the bounce off the right corner. Can they find the follow-through instead? No. It is going to go up and over. A bit of a doozy onto Dozies. They get knocked away from that ball control. Minute 20 off the clock, and it is just a madhouse out there. A demolition derby if I've ever seen one. Traffic left, right, and center.
Yeah, and you're seeing what looks to be the Limes starting to scramble on the goal line. You're seeing this play for possession. You're seeing Meliodas look for these crosses. JB looking for the shot.
Okay, but the follow-up from Meliodas King coming in quick. That's going to be a 2-1 scoreline back in favor of the Rams. And I love the follow-up because JB does fall a little bit to the left. I do not think that was intentional, but Meliodas King, right place, right time, had a phenomenal follow-up there and guaranteeing their team a lead.
Yeah, and what's great to see about the Rams is they like to play this aggressive two-man style with a third man playing right around where that back third and the center third really meet, where you're close enough to react to the ball, but you're far enough back that should there be a boom on target, it's great. But we're seeing 2 demos actually out of the Rams, and Bacon Boy, a much-needed clear to give time for his teammates.
Yeah, we've got a full-blown derby going on out there. 2 teammates down. That's going to be a 3v1, a very easy opportunity for the Rams to score if they were in the right place. I'll be honest, those demos felt a little more out of desperation than out of coordination, but no harm, no foul at the end of the day. A great flip up and over. Murdercaps gets caught out, not in the right place, at a very wrong time. And Bacon Boy trying to find a goal, bounce up and off the corner. Talk about a traffic, a 4-man pile up there, cleared all the way down toward the goal of the Sour Limes. We're getting ready to enter that halftime turbo. We have not had a second of relaxation since that kickoff started.
No, not at all. And you're not seeing a ping pong style either.
Right.
These are discrete attacks and defenses. Normally when you're in this feel out period as a big clear out of Unable Lime, you tend to see these squads just boom it back and forth, see what the opponents do when they're given possession. Instead, both of these teams looking to hold on to the ball as much as possible. JB goes for the 50, and it finds its way into the blue half.
Quick, we've got that 2:15 on the board. Let's see if we're going to see that tie-up from the Sour Limes. Can we go into an overtime for our first game of our second quarterfinal? By golly, I sure hope so, but only time will tell, my friends. Murdercaps coming in quick. I love the focus on the ball. Murda knows to make space. They need to be blocking. And I've got to say, Sour Limes, more than a lot of other teams, they aim for 1v1 potential. They are constantly trying to keep their opponents blocked out. Oh, but you cannot block Meliodas, and he is flying high in the sky above you.
Yeah, and there's a reason why that's the first, high down aerial shot we've seen. It's because these are hard to hit.
They're so hard.
These are the most acute of angles that these players have to land, and it's the reason why the Rams are one of those, again, sleepers who might have been seated a little lower than they realistically deserve.
And I think until somebody plays this game, they will truly never understand how hard a shot just like that is. It is the microest of errors. If you are a pixel off the right spot on that ball, it is flying far off to the left, and your goal is null and void. Now we've got 100 seconds left on the clock. 3-1 scoreline in favor of the Rams, and everybody wants to know, is this the style they can keep going? But Bacon Boy looking to save the day. It's Unable Lime coming in the second goal, 91 seconds remaining. Sour Limes, they have set themselves a win condition, or at least a tie condition once again.
Oh my god, that setup from Bacon Boy, he was going for the double tap, and if he had it, I would have lost my absolute mind. But again, Unable Lime right there, starting to mirror the play style, it seems, of the Rams, having those 2 players up front early, that shadow play, seeing, fight fire with fire. And indeed, it does tend to work, because if you have these fast breakouts and there's still 2 players behind you, you have 2 players ahead, it certainly turns into a very difficult position to defend.
And I love what you said earlier, fight fire with fire, sharpen iron with iron. They're bringing out that shadow play immediately out the gate. 73 seconds, they're trying to mirror the team that's beating them. And this is fascinating, because all of a sudden, the Rams have to beat themselves, and it looks like they're still going to be able to do so. Murdercaps comes through, the 4th goal on the board, but 70 seconds left. That is over 20% of our game remaining.
Yeah, and what's brutal is that Dozy was looking to pass to Bacon Boy, but instead, again, as you mentioned, pixels off the ball, and instead of sending it forward, it bounces off the sidewall and is dimed up perfectly for the Rams to score.
Ooh, a bit of a clunky kickoff here, and JV King Gamer trying to make the absolute most of it. What a save indeed, Rocket League announcer. 60 seconds left on the clock, and things are looking good. 1 goal per 30 seconds. I think the Sour Limes are more than capable of bringing this back, but they've got to get ball control here. They need to make that magic happen. They are running out of time. We've gotten to that point, Turbo. They are racing more against the clock than they are against the Rams.
Yeah, but what we're seeing is mid-game adaptation from the Limes, which is beautiful to see, and it's a very tough position in the blue box as there's barely a clear out by Murda. Meliodas finds the transition. Dozy clears it away.
Dozy with a phenomenal clear, but the setup into goal. Nobody's there on the follow-up. The plan had been set, and that demolition might open the goal, and it will! Bacon Boy finds the 3rd opportunity to strike, and now with only 28 seconds remaining, there is a 1-goal difference. Can the Sour Limes force us into an overtime in our first game of this quarterfinal?
And right there, Dozy taking advantage of the Rams' style. They know there's going to be that 1 player back who's just sort of sitting along that back corridor, finding the right opportunity. So what do? Take the pressure to him, find that demo, and right here, actually a fake kickoff. It looks like the Limes wanted to try and get early possession, but instead lose that, and now a dangerous spot.
Oh, a dangerous spot with a demolition in their favor. Can the Limes throw that's an open goal? Oh, JB seals the deal. I want to watch the replay on this. What goes wrong? They find the demo, they get the ball control, and he just catches it off the corner. Nobody there. JB sneaking in and finding that goal. That breaks game one in favor of the Rams without a miracle to decide.
Yeah, unless we get some kind of crazy pinch into the net off of this kickoff, which indeed, as we already saw, won't happen. This is going to be the Rams picking up game one. And while, yes, they were the favorite going into this matchup, you still have to think about, you know, the Limes, bring it back within one, finding opportunities. And like I said, stand-up player to watch at times. JB King Gamer sealed the deal when they needed it most.
I love that JB kind of proved it for us, right? We talked about JB, the player to show up in the moment, to be the moment. And JB absolutely was the moment. That could have been a tied game. That could have been an insane back and forth. But instead, JB, King Gamer, living up to the name and making the magic happen. Now, we're getting ready to jump into the second game. And I've got to say, the Sour Limes, they are showing some good promise. We're looking at, what, 8 shots on goal from one, 5 from the other. So the Sour Limes, and we're back to that conversation of struggling to maintain ball control.
Yeah, struggling to maintain ball control, but on the opportunities they had, they were converting. You know, that's over 50% conversion ratio on these shots. That means that when they're taking shots, they're ones that need to be defended. And honestly, actually, every single shot on net made it in because at times the Rocket League UI or user interface will read a shot even if it's right off the crossbar. And if you look at the Retro Rams, there's not a single save in their list, which means every shot that was on the net was in the net from the Limes.
I mean, that is just bonkers, right? The Limes are going for that opportunistic play style. They're not taking risks. They're not going for the long shots downfield. They know they strike when they can, like a cobra. They wait for the right moment to strike. And as they enter game two, these Sour Limes going to have to get a little bit spicy to take down a team like the Rams.
Yeah, but one thing also to note is that there was a 100% shot presence on net from the Rams because there were 5 scored and 3 saved.
Wowza, yeah, so definitely a strong presence indeed. Here comes the kickoff, and oh, by golly, is it a sloppy one? Murdercaps comes in quick. Dozy with an insane ball control, a little bit of a 50-50, almost a rule 1 if we were lucky, but none of those happening this weekend quite yet. Bacon Boy comes in quick. Dozy with the flick off the corner. Is there the follow-up they need immediately to find that goal? No, instead a bit of a sloppy collision in the corner, and that puts ball control back for the Rams. A flick in, but a shot right back out. JB King Gamer keeping us at that goose egg.
Yeah, tight pinch, and it's sitting in front of the net. Where's the shot? No one from the Limes able to finish the job. And that's the trouble sometimes when you get low on boost and you run straight back. It means you can be out of the play for moments like that.
Oh my goodness, that was, I mean, that's such a good example. Seconds, 1 second earlier, I think that's a goal. I really, truly do in favor of the Sour Limes. We are already kissing the first minute of our game. 20% of the game goodbye. A good save from Meliodas and a phenomenal clear downfield. Let's see if the Rams can follow up.
Looks like they may be able to, as Unable Lime throws into his own corner. Now traffic indeed, but cleared away and breakout.
Oh, luckily enough, Murda hanging out in that back third, being the goalie when the team needs him the most. I mean, I just can't believe how long we've gone without a goal after how explosive these last couple of games have been. To still be hanging out at those goose eggs only a minute into the matchup. I mean, by golly, these teams are just so neck and neck, so back and forth that it's really hard for one to take an advantage, to take a lead.
Yeah, and one thing I like to see, Murdercaps not going for any high contest because the further in the air you get, the more committal the move is. Yep. And instead, if you know that they've committed to a line, whether that's a ground pinch or an air dribble, it's a lot easier to read, it's a lot easier to defend, and it means you remove as many variables as possible. But JB nearly finding a shot.
JB trying to be the King Gamer his team needs. Meliodas King gets taken down early. Dozy, a phenomenal demolition. That's about 3 seconds bought for the team. What can they do in that time? Before I can even finish the sentence, all 6 players are back on the field, and we are just neck and neck, right back to square one. Sorry about this game, a lot more chaotic than game 1. It seems like nobody knows how to keep ball control.
No, absolutely not. This is turning into a scrap fest with both teams finding opportunities. Oh! And there it might be an own goal, I think, out of the Limes, not able to hold control.
Wow, so let's take another look at this. It absolutely is. Last time JB makes contact, it goes up and off. Unable Lime, unable to chase the ball down and catch it in time. Hey, it's an own goal, but as a wise man once said, we absolutely take those.
Yeah, absolutely. The Rams are counting their lucky stars for that one, but Unable Lime, it seems like he was trying to go for a backboard clear, let it bounce off, have his team for the rebound, but Murda takes advantage of Dozy's mistake.
Oh my goodness, give an inch, take a mile, holy cow. Dozy flicks it down, and Turnbull was talking about that earlier today. It's the scariest thing when a team clears in front of their own goal that sets somebody up just like that. Murda just got a goal handed to them on a silver platter.
Yeah, and again, it's just being cognizant not only of your own team, not only of where you're placing the ball, but the other side as well. You need to be aware, is there an attack possible? Is there pressure on my net? And if so, let's throw that to the corner. And a big demo to open up space. But it seems the line's looking to push instead.
Okay, the counter demolition coming through now. Meliodas King finds one, you know, give a penny, take a penny. Give a demo, take a demo. Gotta make sure things are even here. We are officially entering the second half of game 2, so things becoming a little bit scarier for the Sour Limes. Are we gonna see that kind of second half buff I always love to talk about, where a player, their back's against the wall, it's their swan song hour? Are they gonna be able to follow through when they need to most? Or are the Sour Limes gonna fall short here in game 2?
Yeah, we'll have to see. I think that the Sour Limes certainly have it in them. I've got a feeling that the nerves were rattled after that own goal.
Absolutely.
And that second goal was really just a product of that still mental boom potential, as the backboard not going to find anyone off that pass, as Meliota, big clear, takes out 2 from the play, and this is dangerous.
Right into center field, unable Lime there to catch it out. Looks like we've got a teammate down into the far right corner, but it looks like Dozy gonna have a bit of a struggle. Phenomenal fake out there with the ball. It wasn't even able to catch the player's name. Everybody's moving so quickly, but as that dances in toward the goal, not quite an own goal, but not quite a defense. Unable Lime able to walk that one in.
That certainly was an own goal. That certainly was. Right here, you're gonna see Meliota go up, looks for a touch, and instead puts it square in the center. So it seems, give one, take one. The Rams.
Give a penny, take a penny.
Exactly. Give a goal, take a goal.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, you got me. I did not catch the flick down into the ground on that one. That certainly was an own goal. And all of a sudden, the game, a lot scary. Talking about the comfortability of a 2-goal, right? Is it really comfortable, or is it just biding you some time, especially when unable Lime remembers how to play the game, coming in hot with a second goal. All of a sudden, folks, 20 seconds, if even, we are tied up.
Yeah, and right here, it's a full team effort. You can see the initial demo on the goal line from Bacon Boy, and Dozy goes for distracting 2, forcing them to come and contest on the post, and a small pass out is all that Lime needs, and they even things up. Like you said, that comfort's gone, and now we're back to effectively 0-0 tie game with 1:20 to go.
That complicated 0-0, also known as a 2-2 scoreline, because folks, one of my favorite things about Rocket League is you cannot draw. There is a winner and there is a loser, and we will decide no matter how long that takes. There is no limit on the overtime if we get there. Maybe we'll learn that in just a couple of minutes here, but we've got 60 seconds left on the clock. One of these teams needs a breakaway moment. We need a JB King gamer. We need a JB King gamer to come in with 61 seconds left on the clock to seal the deal, perhaps against the Sour Limes. But with 20% of the game remaining, Turbo, this is still the Sour Limes game if they can make it happen.
Absolutely, they can tie things up for sure, but JB, we said, when the Rams need him most, he delivers. And right there, I'm going to say, Bacon Boy took a front post rotation instead of going all the way back, and it meant that JB just had an entire half of the net that was free and open that he could shoot towards. And of course, a player like that is always going to convert. Demos coming out, the Limes are getting desperate.
The Limes are getting desperate. The Limes beginning to rot a little bit. We got to get them out of here. 41 seconds and counting. This is going to be a rough opportunity. They need to score once to tie, 2 to win, 3 if they really want to get flashy. But with only 30 seconds left on the clock, we are looking at 1 goal per, I don't know, what is that, 16, 17 seconds? Meliodas King comes in quick, a great defensive save. JB King gamer just doing JB things, but now it's blocked back out. That's going to be unfortunate. Dozy able to find that defensive block, and all of a sudden, with 20 seconds remaining, we are seeing the Limes racing more against the clock than they are against the Rams. They can't even get ball control right now.
Exactly. JB King gamer really being the king that the Rams need, as one final push potential here for the Sour Limes.
5 seconds left on the clock. We need a garbage time shot here. We need a buzzer beater shot from the Limes. We've seen the Rams do it. Now we need to see the Limes do it, but nobody's there to do it. And that is going to be another game win for the PBL Retro Rams. All of a sudden, Turbo, a team, one that I said could have made it to the grand finals, is on their tournament life, backs against the wall.
Yeah, the Sour Limes, certainly one of those teams that can show up and upset a team like Lake Wales, a team like Wilson Central. But right now, the Rams are proving that their inaugural season is one that they are taking in spades. They are showing up, they are showing out, and they are not taking no for an answer.
They absolutely aren't. I mean, I keep using the phrase pulling no punches, but come on, look at JB. That kid, he's not even pulling, but he's winding them up on his way in. He is just finding shot after shot, and it is incredible, really leading this team to greatness. I've got to wonder if JB's the IGL. Is JB just the strict IGL in-game leader, gives the team calls and coordinates so they know how to act in the scene? We're looking at 5 shots on goal from the Rams, and it looks like, what is that? 9 from the Sour Limes?
Yeah, no. In this game, it really did seem like the Limes had more pressure. They had more control. But the thing is, this defense on the Retro Rams is oh so strong.
It's just
everyone able to do what they need. And of course, JB King Gamer finding those responses. And I'm pretty sure that a couple of these goals didn't even have a shot behind them with those own goals. So that's just the way it goes sometimes. And now the Limes back against the wall. We'll have to see if they can break the 3-0 curse or if the Rams will continue this quarterfinal in dominating fashion.
Oh, that was terrifying. I thought we had an immediate goal there. We've got to wonder, you know, backs against the wall, fight or flight, ready to be activated. And Dozy going for the goal in off the corner. Let's see if they can get a turnaround quickly, but instead it's JB King Gamer just doing JB King Gamer things. Coming in large and in charge, looking for a time to strike, but it's not going to fall quite yet. A bump up and off the crossbar, but into the corner, into the no man's land, and all of a sudden, everybody back at square one. Meliodas King coming in quick. Is that an open goal, Turbo? No! It's got a defensive block.
Yeah, and on that drive, well, yes, Meliota had a great approach. It's opening things up like this. Meliota and Murda on the same rotation, and he really did start to ruin things. The Limes really could have taken advantage, but it's a tough position to be in. As a big booming clear, Bacon Boy comfortably saves.
Big booming clear indeed. Bacon Boy a very comfortable save. Does not have to use a lot of boost to do it, but a demolition from unable Lime opens up ball control for the Sour Limes once again. Dozy going high in the sky, looking for a tempo on to Murda. The bounce in and off the corner. A little bit wide, but that little bit goes a long way. Close, but close only counting in hand horse and shoe grenades. 1 minute off the clock of the Rams. Looking a little bit rough here as the Sour Limes are keeping them neck and neck.
Oh, Meliota just went for a really creative shot, a redirect off the ground. And one thing that you might have noticed, Dozy went to try and touch all 4 wheels to the ball, and that's what we like to call a flip reset. It's basically where if you effectively ground your car by getting all 4 wheels in one place, you can score right here.
Whoa!
Dozy going to find one right there.
You can flip once in the air. Your all 4 wheels have to touch a surface to reboot that jump. If you get all 4 wheels on the ball, it's tough, but it works, and that is called a flip reset. That's what Turbo was explaining there. We've got 1:35 off, excuse me, 1:25 off the clock, 3:35 still on it, and that is the Sour Limes going up, I believe, for the first time this series, going up in the advantage.
Yeah, both previous games, the Rams took the first game. And quite frankly, we're going to see if that changes the pace, if the first scorer is the one who can take it home. And I mean, the level of skill on these players, the creativity they're bringing as JB looks to punch through 2, and a great clear up by Unable Lime. No one ready to shoot as Murda nearly makes it happen.
3:14 Pi on the clock, and let's see, is there going to be that immediate reaction from the Rams? I mean, I can't even call it immediate anymore. It's been about 45 seconds since the last one. Excuse me, it has been 0 seconds since the last one, as that is going to be Sour Limes going up 2-0. They are a shoo-in to make us go all the way to that game 4. I asked, are they fight or flight? And my friends, it looks like they are flightless birds. They are here to fight, and they are ready to take down the Rams.
Yeah, and one thing that's really great to see is the Limes continue to adjust. That is one of my favorite things in Best of 5 series, and why I think Rocket League is such a great game to watch, is that the games are short enough that you can have a best of 5 be your standard format, and it means you get this constant adjustment. You have these teams learn each other inside out, and while yes, the Rams were looking very strong in games 1 and 2, you give the Limes an inch, they will take a mile, but not if Meliota can find that bar down shot.
Meliodas King coming in clutch there, and this is a good aerial shot too. Takes it clean up high in the sky, and then just knocks that bad boy right in and over Dozy. Dozy with a doozy, taking a snoozy in front of that goal.
Yeah, Dozy, it seemed like he was expecting it to bounce off the crossbar, was looking to play the rebound, but of course that pinpoint precision, meaning there's a bar down shot, and that's all that you can ask for as another near breakaway. Unable Lime with a crucial save with the cross in. Gets routed.
My goodness, we are just now entering the second half of Game 3, folks. The Sour Limes still in the lead, but by only a single point. This is a now or never moment. They are playing for their absolute tournament lives. They did not make it this far just to get 3-0'd by the Rams in their first quarterfinal. They're trying to prove that to us right here, right now. 2:15 and counting. Here comes Meliodas once again. It's going to be a bad knock into the no man's land and a catch on the side of the Sour Limes. Can they play the defense? Can we get it clear away from goal, or is this another one for the Rams?
Yeah, and right there you saw 2 Limes players actually run into each other. A little bit of team miscommunication resulting in a near loss of pressure and a potential goal for the Rams, but instead, Bacon Boy able to clear this down, but the pressure continues from Meliota.
Pressure continues indeed. We are down to only 1:48 on the clock. We're getting to that scenario. Maybe we're racing the clock a little bit more, but just like that, folks, the waffle iron has been flipped, and the Rams are finding themselves right back on top of things. It's going to be that 2-2 scoreline. 104 seconds remain.
Yeah, and I know that we normally highlight JB, but this game, it has been all Meliot asking.
Absolutely.
He has just been finding shot after shot, opportunity after opportunity, and now ties this once again. The Rams know what it's like to come down from 0-2, and they might just do it again.
I mean, you'll ever flip a coin and it lands right on the side. You know, that 1 in 1 trillion chance. That's exactly what's happening here. We've got two of the strongest teams going toe-to-toe, but Dozie's at, no, not for long. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to walk away with this goal with only 93 seconds remaining. I say only. That's nearly 20% of the game. Still, that's over 20% of the game. Still left on the clock, and all of a sudden, all 6 of these players, the gloves have come off. This is a full backstreet brawl.
Yeah, that it most certainly is. The Rams managed to come back once this game. They'll have to do it again. Otherwise, the Sour Limes will bring us to 4 and potentially start the long road towards a reverse sweep. But possession over to the Rams. This is dangerous.
It is dangerous indeed, Turbo. If the Rams can tie things up once again, I will see an overtime in our very near future. It's coming in quick here. It's going to be 110 on the board. Let's see if this will be in favor of the Lions. Can they find a fourth? Can they really seal the deal, put that nail in the coffin here? Or is it going to be, I'm not even going to say his name or he will appear. We got to be careful. He's proven that to us. Say it 3 times and he finds a goal. And I don't want to cast a curse anybody, but there is a special player on the side of the Rams that if he just happens to show up right now, I highly suspect a goal in their favor.
Oh, I absolutely agree. As Meliota nearly going and taking a shot, finds the crossbar. And now, once again, immediate transition into the pass and still manages to find one, but blocked again by Dozy as this Limes defense has been working overtime.
Overtime indeed, and Turbo, you've used the word now, you and I both, so let's see if the overtime will appear. All of a sudden, down to 30 seconds, a phenomenal demolition, interrupts complete and total momentum, just kills all momentum that we saw on the screen. It's going to be 23 seconds remaining. Is that a goal? It goes a little bit wide, up and onto the right corner. 20 seconds left.
20 seconds left. As Murda actually, a missed touch, Meliota not able to find it. Maybe this was an idea to keep possession, go up the wall, but some great pressure out of Dozy, free space, pinch downfield. This is a real opportunity for the Rams, but routed by Bacon Boy.
Routed by Bacon Boy indeed. Bacon Boy a phenomenal clear, perhaps into a goal. The second that ball touches the ground, no, they have done it. The Sour Limes taking a game off of the Rams. We are going all the way, at the very least, to a game 4.
Yeah, but we mentioned momentum, and you can see the coach of the Sour Limes patting them on the back, letting them know that, you know, this is a big deal.
I love his shirt.
Turned the tide, absolutely. I love Hawaiians. I actually collect them. I've got 11 in my closet.
Wow, I have like one.
Yeah, no, Hawaiian's one of my favorite type of shirt. But quite honestly, you're bringing that flair, and of course we're in Florida, so you've got to dress the part. But still, these teams are locked in. We've seen strength from the Rams so far, and we're going to see more, I think, out of them. But the Sour Limes shown they have grit, shown that they have strength, shown that they can shoot and make their shots count more, because we had the exact same number of shots from both teams, and guess who came out on top?
I mean, I made a request right at the beginning of that game. I said, if this goes poorly, this is their final hour. This is their swan song. And instead of going out with a whimper, they have come through with a bang. They still have, at the very least, 5 more minutes on the table. And if they take us to game 5, I'll go bonkers right here. I'll go bananas right here. I'll be so excited to get a game 5. The Sour Limes, I said it. This is a team I suspect to have some real potential if they survive this series.
And here's the great thing about these 5-game series is that there's so much time for adjustment.
Yes.
What types of adjustments have you seen from the Limes?
So primarily what I've seen out of the Limes is what we're expecting is JB to play that front man. You're seeing him try to get it up on the goal line. Meliota drops it down to him. So what have we seen out of the Limes? They're going up. They're not even letting Meliota get the ball off the ground. They're contesting it every single moment, applying pressure. And the thing is, in Rocket League, you don't necessarily need to beat your opponent to the ball to apply pressure and make those correct adjustments. Because if you see an enemy car racing at you, you don't have the time to be precise.
Right.
You don't have the time to get it exactly where you want or hit the exact teammate you want. You just have to get it out of their face. Otherwise, it could be a counterattack.
It could absolutely be a counterattack, and a huge change we've seen from the Sour Limes. I mentioned it in the middle of game 1, and ever since they have taken it and ran with it. Begins with a D, rhymes with demolition. We are seeing dozens of them across the board. There's another one from Bacon Boy onto Murda. Those demolitions, they full reset the player in front of their own goal. So you remove them from the action for a good 5 to 7 seconds if they do not have the boost to get across the field. And speaking of boost, looks like Murda is missing quite a bit. Rocket at that big old goose egg. Dozy using every inch of the boost they've got, but still not able to get it out of that back third. A phenomenal save from Unable Lime as we get ready to close out this first minute of Game 4.
Yeah, Melioda runs out of boost as he was going for a bit of a flashy play. And one thing you're going to note is, again, we talk about, first man, second man, third man. You're looking at the aggressor, you're looking at the follow-up, and you're looking at either the person protecting your net or the one who's getting that second rebound.
A bit of a miscommunication there from the Rams, and a rather big one, Turbo. We saw ball control in their favor going up along the right wall, and then just a player collision. 2 players from the Rams. I'm not sure what the idea was, I'm not sure what the play was, but it did not work out well and actually cost them ball control, which they are still struggling to get back right now. It is the Sour Limes going for the shot, falling a little bit wide, and still maintaining ball control somehow.
Yeah, and another adjustment that I've seen out of the Limes, they're starting to read the passing lanes of the Rams. They're starting to figure out, where is that second man? Where is he going to move? And how can we get our player there first? As we just saw, Bacon pick up a passed ball off the sidewall. Melioda now trying to contest, and Murda out of position, really struggling, boosting with all his might to get back, as Unable Lime with a nice clear away to prevent the danger zone.
Murda Caps finds that demolition. We've got 2 minutes off the clock already, and still not a single point on the board, so definitely one of our slowest games we've seen, at least at this portion of the day here on the bracket. Maybe a little bit of ball control for Dozy, puts it up, and Murda Caps takes it over. There's not a chance of a goal happening off of that one, but the flick down and off the ceiling, no, still gonna fall a little sloppy into the corner.
Yeah, and one thing that you'll see is sometimes you'll have a lead man on the right side playing for a clean 50, which effectively means it just goes horizontally across the field. And it means that if you've got a man already waiting in the wings on that opposite side of the field, they can pick up the ball, be ready, and that Batmobile might just be what the Rams need, but not quite.
That Batmobile, I mean, JB King Gamer, the only player this weekend that I'm aware of that's been rocking it the entire time. It is a very unique vehicle, but it's a very uncommon one at that, JB King Gamer. I mean, we can't even say his name enough. The kid is just going out there and overperforming, deadlifting the team in the moments when he needs to.
Yeah, the Batmobile unique. It's got not the Dominus or Octane hitbox. It's got one known as the Plank. It is quite literally as it sounds, a red box, and Dozy makes a miss, and Murda slots one in as 2 minutes remaining. The Limes need a response.
Wow, 3 minutes without a point on the board. I believe that's the longest we've gone in the games we've seen on broadcast so far today. 3 minutes without a point on the board, and all of a sudden, I mean, the Rams can win this by a point. That's all it takes. It's not volleyball. You don't have to win by 2. You can literally score 1 in 5 minutes, and that's enough to seal the deal against this team.
Yeah, sometimes series are ended by a one and done, and that's how sometimes it feels really like that traditional soccer where you get that one goal and that could be it. That could be the difference maker, as Melioda has space, looks for a double, can't quite find it, but the pressure remains from the Rams.
100 seconds and counting down. Now the Rams, they've got the 1 point, and that is not even a safety net. That's half a net, and it's got holes in it. So it's going to be a huge problem to keep this dream alive. But the second one, that's the duct tape they needed. That is the recovery they needed to seal up that net and make their comfortability a little bit higher. That's only in 10 seconds, too. They've got 90 remaining.
Yeah, they've got 90 remaining, and the Limes are the ones who have their backs against the wall. They just took a game off, and the Rams said, you know what? We're going to play this safe. We're going to start contesting because we're realizing you're entering our passing lanes. We see how you're trying to counter us. So what are we going to do instead? Bring the ball low. Start playing angles you don't expect, and we're seeing physicality on the Limes.
I mean, the Sour Limes, they are a flightless bird right there, the Penguins in this situation, but this time they've been cornered by the Polar Bear. And the Rams don't live in the Arctic. I had to make the metaphor work. You guys get what I'm saying. Things looking rough here for the Sour Limes. Leopard seals, that works. That's a good one. But now it is going to be 1 minute and 5 seconds remaining, 64 seconds left. And the Rams up by 2. We're looking at 1 goal per 30 seconds right now. Possible? Yes. Probable? Not in the moment. We need a big change from the Limes here.
Yeah, the Limes really do need to figure something out, because how they'd initially figured out the Rams set pieces, it's falling apart as Dozy not given the space to work, because this is a very mechanical player in Dozy, but when you don't have the boost you need, when you're constantly being pressured by these Rams, their horns lock onto you, it's so difficult to play.
The miscommunication, that goes a long way. 2 players go up, 1 knocks it down too far to the left side, and Bacon Boy could not be there to catch him because he was right behind them to knock that ball into goal. There was not a call there from either side, and then all of a sudden the ball touches the ground. We need 1 goal per 12 seconds right now. If the Sour Limes don't want to go down, they want to go out with a bang, but Turbo, they might be going out with a whimper.
It certainly seems like it. It looks like all the juice has been squeezed out of these Limes, and the Rams were thirsty for it as they're looking for this match. They're hungry to move on to the semis, and it certainly looks like they'll be able to, as it's just keep away for a couple more seconds. And and the Rams punch their ticket into the semis.
Rams punch their ticket into the semifinals. Indeed, my hat off to them. I talked about them at the beginning of this series, and all they did was prove me right. They're pointing right at everybody at home, giving us a watch. They are stoked. They are over the moon about being able to find that victory. This is their inaugural season, and to make it to the semifinals. Triple, they're one set away from the grand finals. This is a team that I truly, in my heart of hearts, believe we are going to see in grand finals.
I think it's possible, but you got to remember, they're on the same side of the bracket as the Lake Wales Highlanders.
You got me there. You got me there.
You've got to remember, I think the strongest team, in my opinion, is the Highlanders.
Yes.
They have some of the best mechanics. They have, I think, the best player in this tournament. They have multiple players who played at the Supersonic Legend level, which is that, top 0.3 to 0.1% of players nationally, internationally. This is an insane level of talent that is present, and we're seeing some of it in the Retro Rams, of course. They're playing like absolute champions, and again, I think that they're going to give the Highlanders a run for their money, assuming that they beat the winner of the play-ins.
Oh, I truly hope so. The winner of the play-ins, to our knowledge, still undetermined, so I'm very excited to find out which team just barely meets the bar to get back into the playoffs, and that, I'm stoked that series was the way that it was. The Sour Limes going out, showing us the true potential that team has. They are not a team to write off. They gave the Rams a run for their money. The Rams, a team I'm considering one of the best here, and the Rams were on the ropes practically the entire time.
Yeah, there was lots of pressure out of the Limes. It felt like there was just raw acidity on that field where it was very, very difficult to stay alive and keep going, and the Rams somehow found a way to do it.
There was a term you guys said that caught my attention, shadow play. Who did that best in this match? Where did you see it?
Oh, I think the Limes way back in Game 2, all of a sudden they were you could have fooled me it was the Rams. You could have fooled me there was a side swap. They brought out the exact same rotations, the exact same attempt on goal, and they were giving us what I always call kind of the textbook Rocket League, the demo right before the goal. You don't bump the goalie out of the way. You send the goalie to the junkyard. You obliterate him. And they gave us such that solid textbook play. That's when I was like, this is the Limes I'm looking for. They hit the Rams with their own playbook, and the Rams weren't ready for it.
Yeah, exactly. Looking back to Game 3 as well, where the Lions were able to pick up that victory, what stood out to me was they were sending two members forward. They were playing for these rebounds. They were figuring out positions that the Rams, quite honestly, had been doing to them all series long.
And you mentioned you expect to see the Rams in the grand finals. Why specifically?
This is a team that comes in the inaugural season, and that's scary enough as is. A lot of these other teams have played each other before. But the Rams come in with this energy of each game I see them, they've somehow gotten better. Each time I see them, I'm like, there's no way they improve. All of a sudden, they come in, they've got better rotations, better demolitions, better goals, and they are the type of team that I don't think they're going to go out of here without winning. They've got so much raw I don't want to use the word potential, dedication, determination, that they are floating on it. And I truly believe that if they play the way they just did, that's a grand finals team.
Yeah, and the key word that you brought up was dedication. When we got a chance to interview them yesterday after their win over the Bellevue Buccaneers, what they said was, huge thanks to our coaches, getting us up for practice at 10, making sure we made our second practice at 6.
Early mornings, long nights.
Early mornings, long nights, practicing for this very event. The second they got out of school, they didn't have to worry about homework. They didn't have to worry about any of that. So what did they do? They put their hearts into their craft, and it has shown.
I love seeing that from young athletes when they take a moment to show their gratitude, the appreciation for the people who helped them get there. So I love that you brought that up, that they mentioned their coaches. And you know what, guys? I'm starting to sense a pattern here. We saw the pick your poison with Wilson Central. I'm feeling the same thing with the Rams. All three players, I kept hearing all of their names pretty consistently throughout that entire match.
And there's one more team here that I would say is the same, the Hilltoppers. Absolutely. That is another team that is just three solid, super strong players. And it's just the potential of having that strong team. Like I said, goods from greats, because it's insane to me that there are teams so well structured they can play in a 2v3 and win it. That is amazing to me.
Yeah, exactly. If you can have, maybe your more mechanical player step forward, get past two, or force a double commit because the team isn't confident in their own ability to just save it with one, so they need to have two so they get both sides, then you're taking two players out, he flicks it to the side early, makes an infield pass, and there's no one in net. And when you have teams that can do that, when you have these sort of two members that can just step forward and show up, and when it can be any of your three teammates that can take that role, it is a force to be reckoned with.
All right, so the Palm Beach Lakes Retro Rams advancing to the semis. We now know two of our teams in the semifinals. We will hear from those winners coming up after this. So the Retro Rams advancing to the Rocket League semifinals with a 3-1 win over the Sour Limes. We are tossing it down to the gaming floor now, where Door is standing by with our winners.
Thank you guys so much. It was a phenomenal game. You guys looked incredible out there, and it was a hard-fought series. It certainly started off in just a bare-knuckle brawl of goals being sent either way. But for me, the kind of through line, we had a camera up over these monitors here, and 90% of the time it was trained on you. Your eyes looked lethal. You were completely unfazed with all this pressure on you. You looked like you were just seeing red. What's it take to be that calm under pressure?
Well, all I got to do is trust my teammates. And, well, it just goes with the flow.
Hey, I suppose it does. Now, I mentioned game number one. It was a much faster volley, a barrage of goals for you guys while you were trying to slow things down in the second. Was that intentional, or did the game just kind of naturally slow down while you were matching pace?
No, we were definitely warming up for at least an hour and a half before, so we were already ready. And one more thing, so that one kid said my stats are empty on Twitch. Look what happened, buddy.
Hey, you got to call him out. You know how it is. Now, you guys looked fantastic up there, but there's a few other teams who are looking to take the throne. Is there anybody in particular that you're looking out for to try and take down?
Probably the top teams, the Highlanders, or the Wildcats too.
It's fair enough. I'm excited to see you guys perform as we move out through the bracket. Hopefully we can get you guys back on broadcast in not too long. But until then, I'll throw things back up to the desk.
I'm glad Door mentioned the intensity of his eyes, because I actually noticed that during the match too. I was like, oh man, this guy is zoned in. We have a shot of it coming up soon.
They had him on the far left of the screen. I thought he was
staring
into my soul.
I
thought
know,
he was looking
right?
at me.
It's intimidating almost. He's got like a mischievous grin going on there. And I love his teammate saying, oh, someone called me out on Twitch. Like, okay, watch what I can do.
Sometimes a call-out's all it takes for these kids. You know, somebody's like, hey, you can't do that. And they're like, watch me. Because it's always worth the moment. You know, it's that little bit of, I don't want to call it inspiration, but that little
motivation?
bit of motivation. Yeah. That little bit of motivation that really kind of gives them that extra kick up, turns them into a animal.
Exactly. It is just sort of that difference maker, whether it takes someone calling you out in Twitch chat saying, hey, your numbers aren't high enough, or instead it's your teammates pushing you forward as they move on to the semifinals. It is just so many factors that can turn you into that animal.
It almost reminded me recently of Steph Curry calling out the NBA experts. Oh, 0 championships the next. Yeah, let me show you. All right, our Intel core moment of the match, guys. What do you got for us?
I mean, it's going to be JB King Gamer, the name we said maybe 200 times in the last 4 games, and this is where JB really turns. I was screaming at the top of my lungs at this moment because it's a 2-2 scoreline. We're getting ready to enter double digits on the clock, and I said, in this moment, I said, they need a JB King Gamer moment, and then he heard me, and he answered the call. They break the tie there, and that is where the Rams were able to win their second game. If the Sour Limes won this game, we could have been at a 2-2 scoreline. We could have gone to a game 5. But because JB King Gamer can sneak in that moment, he comes all the way from the goal. He comes all the way from the far side of the field into the opposing goal. And it was that one moment, that calm, cool, collected moment that put his team back on top.
Yeah, exactly. And JB, we mentioned him before, and he's not the flashiest player. He doesn't pull out, flip resets. He doesn't do necessarily all of these insane, crazy moves, but he is where he needs to be exactly when he is needed. It is that difference maker. It is that first goal to get the ball rolling when you're down by 2. It is that tiebreaker moment. It is each of these individual points that you can say the tempo shifted right there for the Rams, and now their horns are locked and they're looking for you.
I mean, earlier I referenced a moment. I don't remember if I said his name, but I said there was a team where they won 0 seconds on the clock tiebreaker. That was JB King. It was the same player. He has this weird, I made the joke earlier, he unlocks his 6th chakra when there's everything on the line, and he somehow always, up to this point, has come out on top.
And you know what? Every championship level team has one of those players who does the dirty work. You don't notice every single move they make, but they always show up in the moments where it matters the most. Moving forward, what can we expect from these guys? We heard they have high expectations. They want to knock off the Hilltoppers and the Wildcats.
I mean, these are 2 tough teams to beat. And obviously, they're on the opposite side of the bracket as both of those squads. So the Hilltoppers and Wildcats are going to have to duel each other before they can make it to the Rams. But, of course, the absolute behemoth that I'm going to say of this tournament, still in my mind, is the Lake Wales Highlanders. Yes. This team is one of the cleanest teams we have seen. They are able to pass circles around you. They can take the ball up in the air, pinch it off the ceiling, slot it in the net. They can do all sorts of crazy moves, and most of these teams haven't seen that level of play before, and we're going to have to see if they're ready for it, because that's what it comes down to so often is, are you ready for that speed? Are you ready for these kinds of shots? Because almost all of these players can defend those shots if they know they're coming, but if someone just flip resets out of nowhere, you don't know what to expect.
And Lake Wales, they are not only good, but they are flashy, and that's just entertaining. For the people watching at home, they hit some insane shots, some double, triple, quadruple taps off the goal just because they know they can. They have really given us a stellar performance and a very entertaining show all weekend. They show up and they show off.
Yeah, lots of showing off so far in these quarterfinals, and we got our third quarterfinal of the day coming up in just a bit. Stay with us. We're taking a quick break, but more Rocket League quarterfinal coverage continues after this. Welcome back to ESPN's Wide World of Sports in Walt Disney World, Florida. You are watching the 2022 High School EGF National Championship. I'm Grace Remington, joined with one of the casters who's been calling all the action all weekend long, Jay Turbo. We have two teams who have already punched their ticket to the semifinals. Now we're getting ready for match number 3. What are you looking forward to in this matchup coming up?
Yeah, so match number 3, I believe this is Lake Wales versus Cherry Hill. And Cherry Hill, they had a really tough road to get here. They initially had, today, they had a must-win game. That was their last game that they played up against Mount Juliet, the Golden Bears, and they barely won that game. They won in 3-1 fashion, I believe, punched their ticket here, and now they're facing off against the behemoths of the Highlanders. They are just such a strong team. I really cannot emphasize it enough just how impressive this squad has looked. They will pass circles around you. They will go for flicks. They will find these opportunities that you just do not expect. So expect them to play quick, and if I want to see the Cherry Hill squad, if they can find a way to, maybe slow the pace of play, look for some demos, break up these set pieces, it'll be a great opportunity for them to, find a few goals, sneak their way in.
All right, well, we will be back with more preview and some game action coming up after this. Welcome back to our coverage of the 2022 EGF High School National Championship. We are following the action from the Rocket League quarterfinals. Two teams have already punched their ticket to the semifinal round, and now we are getting ready for the third matchup of the day. I'm Grace Remington, joined with Jay Turbo and Dor. He sprinted all the way from the game floor to here in studio just to join us.
I know it was amazing getting to talk to all the players down there. The energy is incredible. The parents out there supporting them. The coaches as well are like surprisingly just on fire and lighting these players up. It's a wonderful space to be in. Just the energy of all of it is phenomenal.
So, Jay Turbo, really quickly, we have Cherry Hill and Lake Wales coming up. Wales, huge, probably the favorite to win, and Cherry Hill, a huge underdog here. What are you expecting to see?
Yeah, a massive underdog. We look at the bracket as it stands. We've got two teams punched forward, of course, Wilson Central and the Rams and Lake Wales now about to take down Cherry Hill. And, of course, they just 3-0'd the Bellevue Buccaneers, so feeling hot off of that play-in match. But, again, you're facing these Titans, and what I expect out of Cherry Hill is they want to disrupt the pace of play. They don't want Lake Wales to be so comfortable, where if we look at their placements, both teams not playing in Season 9, showing up in Season 10, first and fourth in their conferences, respectively. A 5-2 scoreline for Cherry Hill and 8-0 from Lake Wales, and they were also 4-0 in playoffs. Not a single game dropped for their entire inaugural season.
Now, look, I'm going to play devil's advocate here. Cherry Hill got here. Cherry Hill survived until this point in the bracket, and we talked about it in their play-in game. It was important for them to build that momentum, so they've got a lot of fire lit behind them. We've got game number 1 coming up in the best of 5.
Yeah, exactly. And now, looking at players to watch, when you're looking at Cherry Hill, X is going to be your difference maker. Ultimate Lord sometimes plays a little further back, and on the side of the Lake Wales Highlanders, look at Dr. Kai, or Durkee if you will. A very, very strong mechanical player and a lot of pressure around the blue box. His Ultimate Lord demoed just to give a little bit of space as Extreme. Again, another playmaker with lots and lots of potential.
It's good pressure, but Lake Wales haven't been able to find True quite yet. They'll send one out. Good ball control, though. Shots in, and there it is. First one's up from Ian Cito. That's a great opener for the Lake Wales side.
Yeah, it most certainly is. Ian, right place, right time, bringing that speed, and of course, these shots are so tough to respond to. X doing his best to react, but when a ball's moving that fast, there's nothing you can do. And just like with Wilson Central, this Lake Wales team is a triple threat. Everyone can pick up the ball and just shock you with their abilities. And I said I wanted to see Cherry Hill change the tempo, and instead, indeed, Ian finds a second.
And Ian just soars through the air with all the grace of a 2,000-pound automotive ballerina. Look at this. Gets around it. Little Tapiruski. Get into the upper 90. Well placed, and honestly, just great car control.
Yeah, absolutely incredible car control. All three of these Lake Wales members know their cars and their controllers like the back of their hand. They can pick up the ball, and right here you're going to see Ian, another opportunity, looks for the double, finds it, and they make it look easy. They make it look like you can just pick it up and drop it down, but oh no, that takes thousands of hours of practice.
No. Ian's an artist. Ian's an artist, dude. This is absurd. The first one, okay. The second two, though, just class shots. All solo as well. Normally, I mean, this is a team that we've seen dominate through team play and coordination, but to see this being brought out in the playoff bracket, we talk about Lanimals a lot, might be time.
That we do. This entire team feels like one. As an early hat-trick, I believe, for Ian in just the first minute. Incredible job as Dr. Kai looks to apply some pressure. X trying to push it away, and that's what we're going to see is just constant strangulation of one corner of the field by Lake Wales as they love to just take control of a segment and crush their opponents.
You have to be careful, though. It can't all be cocky attacking. It needs to be a little bit more measured in the defense. They are put back on the back foot for a moment. X will take this ball back across. A little bit of control, a little bit of reprieve, at the very least, for the Cherry Hill side as they try and take this thing down. Great challenge, though, by Dr. Kai to get in on this one. Sets up their teammate. Great save, though. Chungus is going to keep that one out and put it back into no man's land. You talked about controlling that corner, though, and one thing that Lake Wales are doing right now is taking away all of that boost in the corner, making sure that they're moving faster. And in Rocket League, pace is everything.
Exactly, pace certainly is, and the pace from Ian! You called him an artist, and this field is his easel.
Oh, my Picasso, sit down. There's a new man at the top. Look at this flip reset. You guys highlighted the mechanic earlier. If you can jump flip and then land all 4 of your reels on the ball, which is like the weirdest thing ever. You get another flip, and you can do some pretty crazy things with it, like hit the ball around another player midair. That's exactly what we just saw. Incredible amounts of skill are being put on display by one player. We know that the rest of this team can do this, but Lake Wales seems to just be the Ian Cito show right now.
Yeah, right now Ian is just controlling the pitch, taking everything for its worth, because what it feels like is Dr. Kai and the teammate, you know, they're both stepping forward. You're seeing them create so much space and just diming up Ian as, again, Extreme John right there. A very, very talented player, leaves it up, but who will respond? It seems that just a lot of time given by both teams.
Yeah, finally, a little bit of space. Uh-oh, it's set up. Shot, unfortunately, not able to capitalize. There's an open net on the other side. No, it's 1v1. It's Durkee against one. Flips it over, but just not on the net. Instead, it's going to have to be knocked in by Ian Cito, who puts his goal count up to 5. Save some for the rest of us, man.
Save some for the rest of us, indeed. But, I mean, this player is just indeed becoming that animal as it's art. There's nothing else to say, is that this team is creating art in front of us.
Yeah, they're looking good. It's good to see a little bit of that team play coming out, right? The rotations on net as well. This isn't just a test of one player, right? Of course, you want to look scary going into the semifinals. You want to look impressive so that other teams are intimidated. But you do need to show us the full smorgasbord of abilities that your team has. We talk about strategy, we talk about coordination, we talk about individual play, and we're starting to get inklings of that right now from Lake Wales, whereas Cherry Hill, they've got a few ways back into the game. They have had a couple of shots, but they just haven't been able to capitalize the same way that Ian has.
Yeah, and we're seeing some proactive moves right here. Set up to the backboard, and Ultimate and Elder both go up, and neither of them can quite connect with the ball, and of course, Durkee is able to just pop it right over them, and that just is a testament to their skill, because it's hard enough to drive these cars on the ground. Imagine trying to move them 3-dimensionally in the air.
Yeah, it's something else. Honestly, I have to give Cherry Hill credit, too. The positioning for them on that last goal was correct, but the problem was just that Lake Wales are playing that much faster. They're beating them to a lot of these balls, even if they are in the right position. So you see there's almost always a challenge from a blue player. This time it's going to be Extreme picking it up, setting up a shot here from Durkee. Fortunately, it still will remain a one-man goal game for the blue side. A flip reset locked and loaded for Ian, and he's just not able to capitalize. Finally, Cherry Hill put a stop to it.
Yeah, it looked like Ian was trying to style. He was going for a flip reset musty off the corner. I mean, this guy is just trying to put everything together and style on stage. But, I mean, you brought it up earlier, those style points, when we were talking about the earlier group, and certainly Lake Wales is bringing them.
As the requisite arbiter of style points, yeah, I think I will be handing a few out after this game. This one, though, from Extreme Jaden, is finally able to show us another name on the scoreboard at the very least from Lake Wales. This is a great rotation play that's really set up by the players around the goal, applying that pressure, rotating back, taking away those boost pads, and overall just outmaneuvering Cherry Hill in their own half.
Yeah, 100%. They are cutting them down and stealing so much space, and right there, X goes for the 50. Durkee goes under, finds an opportunity, and now the cross is here, but there's no way to collect, but still, such control shown by the blue cars.
Yeah, up to 7 now. An undoable game for Cherry Hill, but certainly a goal for morale. Feels fantastic for them. They're going to fight this one all the way through. Of course, they fought to be on this stage. They're going to fight to keep that spot. Durkee, good shot, though, in off the wall. This is a little bit of tricky mechanics as well. You'll see this one go up, jumping off of the wall and transitioning their momentum back in like this. Durkee, phenomenal finish. Puts them up to 8.
Yeah, puts them up to 8, and of course, this is unwinnable. But we've seen moments like this, where one team goes up and crushes Game 1 or Game 2. Earlier on, the clearest example I can think of was Mount Juliet versus the Sour Limes. Sour Limes took one game with 9. It was a 9-0 game. Next game, Mount Juliet comes back, wins it 4-3. So, of course, there's potential. There's options, so long as you adapt. But right now, it feels that Lake Wales, you can't even adapt to them.
I think it's funny, you talk about the comeback, but I'm having like flashbacks to yesterday when there was like 3 or 4 teams competing to see who could get the most goals. All of them were shooting for 20. I think one of them ended at like 17. This could very well go one of 2 ways. Hopefully for Cherry Hill, it's the former, as they can find at least a goal set up here in the last 11 seconds. Ball dangling in front of their goal. They can't quite find true on it. It's going to be Ian Cito for one last attempt at a cross here. Doesn't look too perfect for them. Ball will remain down on the ground as the timer runs through.
Yeah, timer runs out, and we do not break into double digits in our opening game with the Highlanders. But I've been hyping this team up for a reason. I've been saying that they are really the top dogs to beat. They are these monsters when they get on the pitch. And right there, 9-0 to start things off. That is just phenomenal.
Yeah, fantastic showing from them. I mean, look, let's be real, a fantastic showing from Ian Cito, who styled all over the remaining side, left a little graffiti on the wall like Ian was here, and just knocked one in the goal in the meantime.
Yeah, the Highlanders going the Steve Spurrier route and just running up the score. They don't care about embarrassing at all. It's all about the style at this point for them. How can Cherry Hills adjust, if at all? I mean, you know, it's a best of 5. It's not over yet, but is there anything they can take from this?
I think that there's a few moments. One, when I've seen the Highlanders contested, when I've seen their pace of play slow down over this weekend, it's when the teams, in a sense, stop thinking. And I don't mean this that they're not thinking about the game, they're not focusing. I mean they are attacking the ball and they're not hesitating. They are finding these moments that these Highlanders players are looking for opportunities to step up, go for something flashy, find that style, and just shutting it down. And another route is you can start looking for extra boost pads and trying to drain them, because you can't get flashy if you have no boost.
Hey, if you're asking me, just blow up Ian Cito over and over again. It feels like a pretty solid solution. They can only keep him out of the game for so long, though, before he gets back up on all 4 wheels. We're heading into game number 2, ladies and gentlemen, and it's Lake Wales looking for match point.
Yeah, Lake Wales looking to, again, show up 3-0, just like Wilson Central did earlier. While Wilson Central faced a little bit more pressure on their road up, it has been smooth sailing so far for the Highlanders.
Ball down again, pressure into the orange side. They're listening to me. The demos have begun. Explosions ring like it's the 4th of July as X rings one into the opposite half. You know what? That's more shots in the first 30 seconds than we saw out of Cherry Hill almost the entire last half of the game. It's good that they've got their footing. They've got a plan. I want to see it continue.
I completely agree. And one thing I'm also going to say, a lot of the time, players default to these big booming clears, you know, in your ranked games, and you just want to relieve some pressure. But up against a team like Lake Wales that is not going to work, maybe try keeping it low. Go for some of these tight infield passes, because if your opposing side is playing up in the air, take it to the ground.
That they will. X brings this one down to control. It should go up the wall. The boost is stolen away, however, by Lake Wales. So if you're not able to punish that forward push, and they might be able to, that ball's coming down. Fortunately, it's in midfield. Other Chunky's going to try and control it back into the opposing half. Great challenge. Good 50-50 up in the corner. Ultimate Lord's there for the follow-up, but unfortunately the follow-up not followed up hard enough. X attempts one off the back wall. Now a dangerous situation, 1 versus 2 for the remaining defender of Cherry Hill. Unfortunately, the numbers don't lie. A goal scored for Lake Wales.
Yeah, but a lot slower. And obviously this goal is really, really great because Ian recognizes there's one player in the box, goes for the corner, plays for the rebound, forces a pre-jump, and sets up his team. But still, we went a minute 30 without a score here, and we're seeing, I've been saying, great challenges out of Cherry Hill. They've been finding opportunities to stop the momentum dead in its tracks. And right here, Extreme looking for some flashy plays, loses control, and now look where we are at the blue box.
Yeah, this already looks like a completely different game from the last one. They've kind of neutered Ian Cito, at least a little bit for the time being, and now they've got a couple of shots. This team is totally made anew, and it's good to see those adaptations come out so quick for them. See if they can capitalize. All they need is one shot to make this one happen. Ball's down in blue corner. Being able to play it down, goes for a dribble. It's going to be tricky. The positioning on the ball, not quite good enough to dribble it in, not quite good enough to take it out to the line either. Instead, it's going to have to be laid down center. A dangerous rebound allowed by Cherry Hill. And now they're having to spend a lot of boost to get back on top of this one. The gas tanks are beginning to run empty as the bumps come in, keeping Ultimate Lord out of the pitch. Ball's cleared wide into safety, but they still haven't had the time to go pick up that boost. They are running on nothing, trying desperately to keep up with the likes of Lake Wales, who continue to mount pressure.
Yeah, exactly. They've got really nothing in the tank. They're relying on pennies, but now a great opportunity. Actually, right in front of the net. X finds a score. We're tied up.
All right, Cherry Hill keeps it alive. That was a desperate attempt at defense in their own half, but the clear is finally there. They pick up the boost pads in the corners just as they come up to make sure that Lake Wales aren't denying them. And once they are able to increase that pace of play, they jump, they pounce on the opportunity, and make a fantastic counterattack happen.
Yeah, exactly. And they've been shutting down these offensive opportunities. They're not giving space for Lake Wales to get fancy. They're not providing them any respite, and they're starting to be cognizant of their corner boosts. They're finding these mid boosts. They're denying the pressure, and when they see all three members, what a save indeed. And when they see all three members forward, they're looking for booms. And I wouldn't be surprised if X gets a pass pretty soon.
Still dangerous one towards the middle. Drops down. It's going to be Barr looking out for that third player to come in. You always have to be careful with Lake Wales. There's always one more person to worry about. the Chungus now, controlling things out the side of the game, slows down for just a moment. We get a little bit of tranquility.
Yeah, and in that second, it might have been a missed touch. He was looking to, I think, flip that forward, but the pressure applied by being so far forward means that Lake Wales has to respect. They have to step back and give them their space, but right now, Extreme, good patience as well.
Yeah, taking their time, trying to play the slow dribble down the line. Winning that 1v1 is really tough, though. They're not able to win the second! Off the back wall, the backboard stays undefended, and that's something you can't do against a team as skilled as Lake Wales. Once you get up to a certain level, the backboard is just mandatory because it's so useful when you're on the attacking side. When you bounce it off, the 1v1 that comes off of it for the goalkeeper trying to run up awkwardly wheel as cameras facing backwards, it's just so unfavorable. So having a player on that backboard in your rotation is super key. It's something that they've done pretty well throughout the course of the series this far, but unfortunately let up for just a little bit, and now another one dangles just in front of the net, and they're able to toss it in.
Yeah, and it seems that once the momentum starts, it doesn't stop for the Highlanders. They can hear the bagpipes calling, and they're looking to get into the semis and hopefully march their way to the finals as a great shot slotted in by Durkee.
Yeah, when it rains, it pours down here in Florida. More goals might be on the horizon. Cherry Hill, though, still not outside of range. It's going to take a bit more gas, though, to get through this one. Ball's up in the sky where pretty much only Lake Wales can touch it. They'll control it down and create a shot. The rotations from Cherry Hill look okay. Two members in goal just waiting for the right chance. Both of them jump up, a small double commit, but it will be safely put back down. A shot's in though, and the rotations just go off. They think they're safe enough to step out, and we mentioned them being mindful of those corner boosts. You can see they try and take the time to go out and grab it here, challenging up the wall, swerving in towards that boost pad, but it was bait. In comes Ian Cito, shutting down the entire offensive operation and punishing them for taking too much time in the corner.
Yeah, and we can see that X is trying to get a booming clear, give them time to collect that boost and get those tanks, as we might just get a 50 goal. And, I mean, that's a way to score.
You take it. Seb said it earlier. We take those. As a wise man once said, you're not going to complain about that. 2 goals in 50 seconds, though. Still a tall ask for any team, but hey, maybe another divine intervention could find them at an even score line. Shots in for Elder Cho. We've seen this one before.
We've seen this one before. I was going to say, are we on a replay? Because that was scary for a moment. As now, if Cherry Hill can get a little momentum, if they can break into the blue half and score in the next 10 seconds, I believe it's possible, but not with this barrage coming out from Lake Wales.
Yeah, all it takes is one more to put the final nail in the coffin. Zito almost finds a crazy redirect off the back wall. There is no place where this team is not dangerous. Instead, it's an easy one placed into the corner. Extreme Jade able to finish things off 5-2. A strong enough score line that Lake Wales should be able to finish this off, but let's be real with ourselves. This is a very, very different game from game number 1.
Yeah, no, very, very different game. This has not been, Lake Wales running up 5 and Cherry Hill getting lucky a couple times. This has been Cherry Hill cutting off passing lanes. This has been Cherry Hill beating these blue members to the ball, and the Highlanders have been forced to adjust their gameplay. They've been forced to, take more of that center field control because Cherry Hill have been cutting off the sides. They've been cutting off the walls, and it makes just so much space unavailable.
With that, it looks like they're going to be taking this one out into the corner. No overtime needed. Lake Wales, I'm sure they're happy with this one, but are they satisfied?
I don't know. I'm going to say that Lake Wales, I think they wanted to continue, and maybe if they can find one more, they'd be satisfied. But again, I think that they're expecting to come in here and do something like a 9-0 every single game. But instead, they were getting contested, and not just getting contested by, a Wilson Central. They're getting contested by the number, I think, 14 seed coming into this tournament, which does go to show just how good everyone here is, just how strong these squads all are and how well they've practiced. But I don't know if you noticed, right there from the Highlanders, every single player had a Supersonic Legend tag of one form or another.
Hey, they're phenomenal, but I'm still highlighting Cherry Hill. That was an amazing performance. 2 goals is literally infinitely more than 0, but at this point in time, it really does feel like it. Granted, I mean, one of them was like a semi-fluke, but for all the shots that they were ringing off of the woodwork there, it was only about time that they got that second one in.
Guys, everybody wants to knock off the Highlanders, but in that game too, I see a way to beat them. Okay, so think about game 1. In less than a minute, Ian Cito had already scored a hat trick. In game 2, the first 3 goals were all scored a minute apart, a much slower pace of game. What was the difference in that?
I mean, that slower pace of play is produced by these moments where you're cutting off those passing lanes. You're not letting Ian Cito just have all the space in the world where, Dr. Kai is just cutting off these lines and creating that space. When you start pushing into the Highlanders, they take a second to adjust, and you can strike.
Yeah, for me, those passing lanes are specifically through the midfield, right? Challenging that ball a little bit earlier so it doesn't have time to get up in the air. You mentioned a hat trick earlier. I was scared we were going to get another one there. But challenging early through the midfield is a big thing for me. It cuts off those passing lanes. It doesn't allow the dribbling plays to happen. And it makes sure that they're also not taking away your corner boost nearly as much. It's difficult, right? You're always on the back foot, and you'll continue to be. But if you can just spare one player to play up there, the number of passes you're going to intercept is totally worth it.
Yeah, and the trouble is with this play is you're seeing two members actually looking to challenge each of these positions, but of course Lake Wales that much faster, already have the midfield pass outlined, and like you said, if you can cut off those midfield passes, you can cut off the oxygen for the Highlanders.
Don't give them any space to breathe. Right now it's X under pressure. Dribbles past one. Styles on him just a little bit, but the ball's back in dangerous territory. A demolition as well is going to assist that one. Nice little bit of team coordination from Lake Wales, which is something that you and I highlight all the time. The difference between strategy and coordination for these teams, right? Strategy being something that you come in with, but coordination being an understanding of your teammates that you only get from playing with them for long periods of time. It's knowing what they're going to do before they do it and being in a position to take advantage of it. That's exactly what we just got from Lake Wales.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, we were highlighting it that what makes great teams great, like Wilson Central as we saw earlier, like Lake Wales right now, is that absolute trust. And when we were listening to some of these teams, as we got a chance to talk to them yesterday during the group stage, they were saying, it's about trust. It's about understanding my teammates behind me, and I know that they'll be able to pick it up. But right here, there's not much trust you can do if there's a demolition derby in your net.
Absolutely not. Ian Cito giving them a little bit of their own medicine. I mean, they came out for his head in that last game, and I think he's a little mad about it, to say the least. Finishes off a shot off the back of that demolition, taking a player out. Puts them up to 3-0 in just a minute. I mean, we said 3 goals in 3 minutes last time, and it's flipped right back around. Clearly, that last game whipped Lake Wales back into shape.
Yeah, I think that maybe after the first game, they got comfortable. They started to rest on their laurels. They started to just sort of sit back and be like, hey, we can take this easy. This doesn't have to, be a stomp. And right now, they're saying the exact opposite, that, we're here to play. This is an intimidation check for the rest of the bracket. We're showing up that we're going to win this thing.
I think it's nice as well with the cameras. You can see the players nodding. They're just trying to feel themselves together. Okay, we are the top dog in this kennel. They are here. It is not all bark and no bite. They've got some teeth to them, and this ball has not left the orange half in the better part. A minute and 10 seconds, which have all been taken off the clock.
Yeah, exactly. And what's troubling is I'm seeing these same players from Cherry Hill trying to cut off these spaces. And one thing I've noticed in this game, almost all of these scores, none of them have been individual expertise. None of them have been standouts as, a block in the net. That was incredibly tight, is finally cleared away by Elder, but it's been team play. It's been these infield passes. No one's styling. No one's looking for those points. They're all just looking for what's the cleanest path of execution.
Yeah, I thought it was cool when they're styling. To their credit, it looked real nice. On the other hand, Cherry Hill still looking for their footing to get into this one. They're trying to play really aggressive with these rotations to play through that medium half. But unfortunately, once that player gets demoed, it all of a sudden becomes, a 1-on-2, a 1-on-3 in the backline, something that they're not used to dealing with, especially with a team the caliber of Lake Wales. It really does often feel in Rocket League like if you're struggling, just start demoing. The demo meta runs through everyone's veins. All you need is a little bit of loss to start bringing it out.
Yeah, absolutely. But what you have to remember is that demos, you can't just be hunting for a player. You can't just put a target on someone's back. You have to be slipping it into your net.
Says you.
I'm saying you certainly can, but it's going to ruin some of your greater rotations. It's right here. Ultimate Lord, a rough touch and a dangerous ball, but still, if you're just hunting for one player, then you are out of position and your team can't develop some of those passing plays. Whereas if you're naturally in position, if you're the front man setting up the attack, you can go for that goalie. As right now, this has just been keep away from Cherry Hill in the orange half.
Yeah, Cherry Hill struggling to keep up with the high balls that Lake Wales continue to put up. This one up through the air again. Durkee, the one to challenge, plays it low. Incito has maybe a turn on this ball. You always have to be careful. The rate at which these players can turn around and go at you at full speed. Pretty impressive. Durkee with some nice defending, though. Another demolition coming in. They're really starting to rack these up. Like, it's very clearly an adaptation from them to throw off the rotations that were pretty fragile from Cherry Hill.
Yeah, certainly fragile already. And I mean, we might see an extermination out of one of these players, if I'm being honest. And an extermination is a cool thing in Rocket League where I think if you get 7 demos in one game, you get this special title, and it is brutal to see as X looking to hold on to some space. As 4 goals in a minute 20, a brutal ask for the Cherry Hill club.
Ooh, nice little save in the corner, but you can tell the players are starting to run out of boost right about now. Another corner one taken away. Now Ian Cito to challenge to the midfield, takes away that boost. Ultimate Lord has some to challenge, but I'm not sure how many players behind them have much in the tank. You can see Elder Chung is under 50%, not able to keep up with the pace of the game, allows the cross through, and Ian Cito, off the back of all of that boost pressure, is able to find a nice play in the back of the net.
Yeah, and we've been highlighting boost pressure, and it's just because it is the only resource in Rocket League. It is the only thing that enables you to go for some of these flashy plays. And for anyone who might not be very familiar, boost conservation is also another element that can separate good teams from great ones, where if you can use as little boost as possible, save it for those key moments where you just need to break out onto offense or speed back to your goal, that's what'll let you score more often. It'll find you more saves, and it'll net you more games.
Yeah, I mean, boost really is just the invisible killer for a lot of these teams. That's the difference that you see between, you know, a team playing through Diamond that has all the mechanics and a team that's playing up here at Supersonic Legend that has all of that. It's not apparent in watching them fly around the field, but once you realize how often they can do it, how they're sharpening the boost, it really does start to feel selfless. Like you're just choking, like you're suffocating. There's nowhere to breathe. You can't possibly keep up. And now it's starting to happen again. Cherry Hill felt that same pressure in game number 1. Managed to save a lot of it in game number 2, but they're back at first point.
Yeah, as now this game is all but done and dusted. 15 seconds left on the clock as Lake Wales send a statement to the rest of the teams here at the EGFH National Championships for Rocket League that they are here to play, they are here to dominate, and they are here to win.
A well-earned one at that, a strong 3-0. Going from form to form, it really felt like they won each game through a different avenue, right? Game number 1 was all mechanics, and it's just a highlight reel for Ian Cito, to be completely honest. Game number 2, big change. They had to learn to respect them a good bit, but then game number 3 coming out, being proactive about that play style, really trying to change things up before they got bad and shutting down Cherry Hill with those demos was a really, really good showing of just a sort of humble understanding of the game of that, hey, yeah, this team is below us in seeding. Yes, we have the mechanics to outrun them, but we still need to respect them tactically.
Yeah, absolutely. It is that respect. And the fact of the matter is, when a team like Cherry Hill is able to adapt on the fly, is able to start cutting off these lanes from the Highlanders, and is able to shut down the game that they want to play and that has brought them so far forward, you're forcing them to dig deeper into their arsenal and find more options and answers. And of course, they have them, but still, it took time. We saw that, and we can show that Giants can bleed.
Cherry Hill got here. They won the play-in game with a 3-0 sweep. Now they're the victim of a 3-0 sweep, but they made the Highlanders think a little bit. Dora, you mentioned it. They kind of forced the Highlanders to respect them in game number 2. Did we learn anything about the Highlanders now that this match is complete? Is there any way teams can take down the favorite?
For me, I'm looking at momentum, right? Clearly, if you're able to shut that down at least a little bit, stop that passing play, it takes them a while to get that engine started back up and get things going again, get those solid passes coming. Yes, Ian Cito looks fantastic, but the rest of the machine needs to keep going. Playing up through the midfield was a big one for me. That way you can maintain your own boost containers down in the corners. And after that, it is relatively simple goalkeeping, defending, challenging a lot of these balls early before they become problematic for you, because the second you give them an opportunity, they're going to finish. You just have to shut it down early.
Yeah, and I completely agree. You know, one thing I really noticed is that Lake Wales, when they enter a game, they tend to bring a singular play style. They tend to either show up with flashy mechanics, and they try to play for individual moments, or they're looking to pass to the midfield. They're looking to go for these more complex and structured plays. And if you can identify what they're looking for early, they might not be ready to swap mid-game and change their style immediately. And if you can force them to do that, force them to get uncomfortable, that's how you take down these absolute monsters.
All right, so the first 3 matchups done pretty quickly. I'm still looking for a 5-gamer here, okay? I need something to go down to the wire. We're going to take a break now, but when we come back, it's your Intel Core moment of the game. Stay with us. All right, welcome back to the 2022 EGF High School National Championship. You are watching coverage of the Rocket League quarterfinals, where the Highlanders just swept Cherry Hill 3-0. And guys, we're running out of words to describe Ian Cito, so no surprise, he's ended up as your Intel core moment of the match.
No surprise here. Look, there were, I don't even know how many goals in game number 1 at this point in time. I don't know how many of them came out of Ian Cito.
It was 6.
But this had to be the big one. Look, as the resident arbiter of style points, this flip reset, that's a bar down one. We could have chosen any of them, to be completely honest. But the flip reset as well, almost got a second one on top of that. Looked absolutely ridiculous. He was putting him in from every single angle. I called him an artist, and I will stand by my word.
Yeah, absolutely. We could call this man Picasso, Dali, list anyone you want. He is just bringing a level of play that you only tend to see at the highest echelons of collegiate and professional play.
Is that the key to beating the Highlanders? Do you have to isolate Ian Cito, or are they even that good without him?
I think he just had a game. Yeah. I'm going to be honest. I think he just had a game. He got the first one. He's like, all right, maybe we can rock with a little bit more of this. But that's the scary part, right? That's what you never know about LAN. And it might be one of these top teams, but it also might be one of those other teams that are a little bit further down the bracket. And the scary part about that, and I see it at every single LAN I end up going to, there's one team at any given point in time. They may not win. They may not win all their games. They may not even come out with a positive record, but they will absolutely ruin somebody else's day and send them packing. And you're just waiting for that game. We got a whole rest of the bracket to get through, and it only takes one other player having a game like Ian Cito to do exactly that.
All right, well, we're going to hear from Ian Cito and the rest of his winning team. Let's go over to the gaming floor where the Highlanders are standing by after their sweep.
Hey, everybody. I am so glad you guys are talking about Ian, because I requested he's the first one that I asked, because I think, and I'm not positive, but I don't think anybody here has put up as many points as Ian has this weekend so far. So, Ian, my first general question is, what is enabling you to be as flashy, to be as consistent as we've seen so far?
It's basically having confidence in my team, and basically all those plays I did was all pure on communication. We've been practicing so much online on the regionals and coming on nationals. It's just a great experience overall, so that's why us together, and even me, if isolated, we will still be doing good.
Absolutely. So talking about kind of the remaining teams, not that many left, right? So John, moving forward, out of these top dogs, and you guys, I gotta say, officially top dogs, we're getting danger close to the end. Is there anybody you're looking out for? You're like, they've gotta go to seal our deal.
I don't know, probably the team we went against in the regionals finals, where we went 3-2 and it was a really close game, and I forgot their high school, but yeah, that's the team. Hilltoppers, yes.
All right, perfect. And Dr. Kai, or Durkee, you know, it's supposed to be. Anyway, tell me, you know, do you guys go into these games thinking, you know, here's ABC, here's what we're doing as soon as we get in there, or is it just adapt, adapt, adapt?
We have like a set strategy that we do every game, and then we just like we practice so much that we're already used to, like we already have in our brains like run down what to do in the game.
Absolutely. So just one more question, and any of you can feel free to answer. Is it kind of, do you guys think that your adaptation is your strongest ability? What do you think it is that's allowing you to get away with so many 7, 8, 9 to zeros?
It's definitely the adaptation, and we just play a lot together that we just be so much confident, and we don't even have to talk that much that we already know we're midfield and we're calling it pass.
Amazing. So it's just that team, that synergy, that chemistry. That's amazing.
Cut each other off or something, but we just like remind ourselves, just adapt to the same thing, just be aware of the field. We can communicate, but we can also just view the whole play.
Absolutely. Well, this has been our interview with the Highlanders. Let's get to that next game. We'll see you guys soon.
All right, thanks, Subtilence. I like their jerseys.
Yeah, they're so cool.
They came ready. All right, look good, feel good. There must be a correlation there. You know what I liked about what Ian said is he talked about the communication. He said they don't even need to be in person. They don't even need to be together. If they were playing in their rooms, they would still have this type of success. What's that say about this team?
To me, it just shows how it can elevate when you do play in person, right? Obviously, they've looked this good online before, but being able to do that, not just online, but on LAN as well, is what really brings it to the next level for me. That tells me that your team is organized, they're able to compete in both environments, and then a team that practices outside of being in person can become a totally different team once they do get into this environment, because it's like training in like a low oxygen environment, right? You don't have the same energy. You don't have the person next to you to fist bump. You look over to the side and it's just oh man. And then you finally get to a situation like this, a big arena, ESPN Wide World of Sports. That fist bump feels so good to these players, and so momentum just starts to build and build and build. And of course, they show up like that.
Yeah, it most certainly does. And I mean, one point that they brought up is they have practiced so much. They're so confident, and they have so much trust in each other that they barely speak when they really need to. They're not talking about the game. Maybe they're talking about something that they had fun with. Maybe they're just letting their hands do the talking, because for so many of these players, they don't even think about the moves that they're necessarily making. They're just adjusting on the fly. They know, I've got to go for a flip reset, and they can just input the combo right away, and it comes down to that muscle memory that these players have developed. And when you play with a team long enough, you sort of get team muscle memory, where you know he's going to be midfield, he's going to be backfield, and I can boom this to the backboard and someone's there.
Yeah, and you brought up the adaptation, or rather they brought up the adaptation and the changes that you can make when you do have that kind of play. For me, I was watching this team, game number 1, 2, and 3, we highlighted it. It was a completely different bag of tricks. I mean, it looked like they looked into their bag of tactics, and it was just like Mary Poppins. She's pulling out surfboards, they're pulling out demos, they're pulling out flip resets, they're pulling out passing plays, everything they need. They can just change their play style on the fly and just metamorphose into whatever they want.
Dang, if you have Ian Cito and a Mary's Poppins bag, that sounds
over.
That sounds like a dangerous team right there. All right, we have one more quarterfinal match of the day, the Hilltoppers and Blue Devils. We're going to be previewing that matchup coming up next. Welcome back to the 2022 EGF High School National Championships. We are 3/4 of the way through our coverage of the Rocket League quarterfinals. One match left, but before we get into previewing that, we're going to take a look at the tournament bracket. Jay Turbo and Dor joining me in studio. And guys, is there anything that has surprised you so far in this quarterfinal round?
For me, I'm looking at it, it's been relatively standard as far as the wins go, but the score lines have been the big one for me. We've had a lot of games in there that have been particularly close. There's a thing that we call the esports 3-0, where it's a 3-0, but every game is just to the wire. And we've had a couple of those, not necessarily to the wire, but we've seen a lot of teams bleed a little earlier than we expected them to. I think we can firmly say that we were looking at the top 3 teams coming into this whole bracket, and it felt like there's kind of a tier gap. Beneath that, it doesn't really feel as much the case anymore. It feels like everyone else is really starting to play up and starting to stomp at them.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that a lot of these players are getting excited about being on LAN, getting excited about being on stage. When you have those bright lights on you, you have an audience, and everyone who's been competing this weekend looking to see who makes it out. Those are the sort of moments that electrocute you. I mean, we talk about how many players become those Lanimals, and I mean, we expected these scorelines. You know, the closest series we had so far, the Rams versus the Limes, we expected the Rams to take that one, but it was still very tight. All of those games feel like they could have gone either way, and I was expecting, you know, maybe a slightly more dominating showing out of the Rams, but beyond that, just seeing that Wilson Central and the Highlanders can bleed, the fact that teams can take it to them is really what surprised me, because I was expecting them to just be in a league of their own.
Well, it almost looked like the Highlanders were in a league of their own with that game 1. Thankfully, it got a little closer towards game 2 and 3. Yeah, you know, I said it before. I still want a game 5. I mean, come on. We all love game 7s, game 5s. That, you know, when it all comes down to the wire. Do you think we could see one in this upcoming match?
This could be it. This is 3rd versus 4th seed, and honestly, not just 3rd versus 4th seed. For me, stylistically, just a straight-up head-to-head. Having seen both of these teams on stream earlier on in the day and earlier on in the weekend, both of them play extremely similarly. It's passing-based team play for both of them. It's going to be who can weave that ball in between one another better than the other, because it's two very solid teams. I'm kind of expecting low-scoring games, to be completely honest, as both of them have been really solid. These could be decided by 1 goal or possibly be sending us into a couple of overtimes. Even if we don't get 5, I can almost guarantee you the games are going to be good.
Yeah, absolutely. This could be, you know, that true esports 3-0 where every game is separated by 1. And if we look at their season results, in Season 9, you look at Hamilton High, they placed improved into Season 10, you know, Season 4 a little lower, but still 13-0 across the board, whereas just strength of schedule that impacted their placement. In Summit High, the Hilltoppers, you look at the same thing, showed up in Season 10, 7-0. Not a single game dropped by either of these teams in the regular season. And if I'm not mistaken, Summit was 3-0 in playoffs, Hamilton was 2-1. These teams really taking it to the wire. Actually, no, we remembered Summit Hilltoppers, the only team that has beaten them 3-2 was the Highlanders we just saw. So they can play to that top level, they can show up, they can show out. And what's even crazier is that these two teams met earlier today, of course, in the same group, top 2 out of their group, or the only 2 exiting out of their group. They've seen each other today, and now we've got a grudge match.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun, close one. Again, I fully expect this to be just a barn burner all the way through. If one of these teams, though, like we brought up earlier before, I'm just going to have to christen it the Iancito. If one of them just pulls an Iancito, that's going to be the difference maker. This is where being on stage, this is when all that pressure mounts, this is when we form diamonds.
Is there, you were saying, who's going to be the Iancito of this game? Is there a player to watch?
Not to me. That's the big thing. I look at this, and everyone just played really consistent games earlier. They were just doing their thing, winning their games, and that felt about it. But there's the opportunity to come big, to find those big plays. I think Rudgy had a few really good opportunities, as well as Tries was doing a good job of putting himself in the right place at the right time, positioning-wise, but it really felt like more mental outplays than mechanical ones in this case, and that certainly is a way to carry the game.
Yeah, and I've got a feeling that considering how similar these two teams' play styles are, considering how they like to play in the midfield, they like to pass it to each other, go for some of these more structured plays, that we're either going to get a sort of diplomatic, very clean game where you're just going to see passes all over the place, or we're going to get a demolition derby where each team is trying to cut off the lanes of the other.
All right, well, one match left today. The Hilltoppers and the Blue Devils, they are getting queued up, and as soon as they are, we will come back from this break. Welcome back to the 2022 EGF High School National Championship Rocket League quarterfinals underway at the ESPN Wide World of Sports. We have 3 matches down, 1 to go between the Hilltoppers and the Blue Devils. But before we get into that, I'm joined by J Turbo and Dor. And guys, we talked about this at the top of the show. Being on a national stage like this is a huge opportunity for some of these high school students here. We have several college coaches, scouts in the audience watching them. A lot of scouts from Florida schools, DePaul, SCAD in Georgia, just to name a few. But maybe some of those scouts are tuning in online too. How important is this for some of these high school students looking to play their way into a scholarship?
I mean, it's massive for them, right? We know that the people here who have been at the booths are absolutely watching the games, but there's people all over the place. I know the prying eyes of the likes of Adam Antor, Coach E up at Northwood. You've got Boise always looking just like a hawk from above. It's very scary knowing that all the coaches are watching, but they are, and they're scouting because all these varsity programs are starting to get scholarship money. They're starting to get real support from their schools that are either integrating with athletics or finding larger budgets in schools that are really willing to support them as a way to spring the school into kind of the next generation of students. All of them are looking for that bright opportunity, and they know they can find a diamond, not in the rough, but there's just diamonds everywhere. It's a gold rush right about now, and these players are exactly that for them. So absolutely, it's a huge opportunity. There's a lot of eyes, and this is the biggest event.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is the biggest high school event these players have obviously been at, but really just put on, period. You're looking at teams and schools that have been watching ever since Season 9, Season 7, as far back as, 2020, when these teams were initially going to come to land. There were going to be those eyes watching, and now with more money coming into collegiate, there's bigger budgets for these schools to work with. There's more opportunities that they can offer these students, and the fact of the matter is that when you are given the opportunity to, play on the stage in front of everybody, in front of so many people, so many prying eyes, and show off that you can be the best of the best. Like, when I was watching the Highlanders, I felt like I was watching a collegiate match. I felt like I was watching a collegiate team, because that's just how good they are. And the fact of the matter is, I'm not going to be surprised if in the next 2 years we see a few Lake Wales Highlanders alums showing up at the Northwoods, the St. Clairs, these top teams in Collegiate Rocket League.
That's a huge compliment. I hope they were listening. I think the recruiting process for esports is so fascinating, because right now college programs might not have the budget to send these scouts out on the road. So they're jumping into Twitch streams, talking to these players' family members. I mean, it's not like traditional sports where, I talk to some of my friends who are college football coaches. They're on the road for 3 weeks at a time, visiting 100 different high schools. How does it work? You guys both work in the esports sphere and at the collegiate level.
Yeah, it kind of changes from place to place, right? Depending on the scale, depending on the budget. I can tell you, I brought up the likes of Doc Haskell and Coach E, but they are literally 24/7. They have Twitch streams open. And it's really nice that you have that kind of mobility, that you don't have to be there to see it, that the gameplay is there. And while you can't get a read on a player's mental, you can absolutely get a read on their gameplay. And then following that, you have to also think, like this, just like any other collegiate sport, you need the academics to back it up. You look at any college, especially right now, there's a lot of talk going on just in the space in general about making sure that we've got student athletes, that these kids are not just coming to college to play esports for a couple years and bounce, that they're coming to get an education, that they are getting a high graduation rate through their clubs, and that's becoming more and more important for them as well. So while Twitch streams are nice, getting these in-person events to scout things out for all these teams that are here, for all the colleges that are here, is fantastic, and there's some high-level ones as well. We brought up having SCAD earlier on. SCAD's got one of the best Overwatch teams in the whole nation, and so having that level of support is huge.
Yeah, it's absolutely huge. And I mean, I come from South Florida, and we've had students where we might not be able to offer scholarships, but we offer that education. And for some students, they want to be that student athlete first. And it is just a matter of what you want to focus on. But the more money that comes in, the more opportunities are present for these students, as we're about to get into the Hilltoppers versus the Blue Devils.
Yeah, academics are nice, but we only got one thing to focus on right now. It's car soccer, baby. And it's time to kick off our next game, Hilltop versus Blue Devils, Summit versus Hamilton. A grudge match, 3rd versus 4th seed, the closest one we've had yet, bound to be a barn.
Yeah, and the thing is, we're looking at how they played earlier. If I'm not mistaken, the Hilltoppers took down the Blue Devils in groups, so Blue Devils looking to cement themselves as one of the strongest teams here, but the Hilltoppers, we heard earlier, they're the team that the Highlanders are looking at and saying, those are the people we've got to watch out for. They didn't even mention Wilson Central. They were only worried about the not about the Highlanders, about the Hilltoppers.
So let's talk stylistically right now, because I brought up earlier, both these teams relatively slow. Looking to play passing plays out of the back more than anything else. Both of their strengths. I think the big, maybe step-up player right now for me is Trizin, who I got to see a little bit of earlier as well. Dark Risky from the halfway mark can be really lethal with some of those shots, but it's passing plays like this. We've got to be careful of. The ball control so good right now from HHS, able to keep the ball within their own control, passing out of the half. The save is there, but they're certainly still in control for a large part of the time until Trizin's just in the right place. Again, echoes, whispers of what we got earlier on, where Trizin was center, able to receive basically any ball that was put remotely near the net.
Yeah, definitely. As you see just that midfield corner drop, you're relying on having that second man pushed far up enough that they can score that goal, but far back enough that they have the space to react. And right there, perfect spacing from the Hilltoppers to strike first.
Let's see if they can continue that pressure, and they will. Hilltoppers in for a second. It's Rudgy this time, picking up the pace of play, which is a big difference for me right now, right? You're watching the pace, and Blue Devils are just not able to keep up in terms of that. I'm not sure whether it's the boost in the corner. It's a little too early to call that. It really just feels like it might not be the same level of war.
Yeah, from what I saw in the opening moments where it was that sort of game of ping pong, both teams were booming it back and forth, going for these outlet passes to the sidewalls. And the first thing that I noticed was that it was the Hilltoppers who started to cut into these passing lanes. It was the Hilltoppers who were building this pressure and transitioning the opponent's passes into their own. As now we're going to need to see a lot of this continued pressure out of Hamilton if they want to have a shot in this game.
Dark Risky now playing the ball out. Ball down, a little cross, put some pressure on. Can they get to this before it crosses the net? They can. Squeeze. Able to just keep it out of range. Reggie putting it back into the danger zone and knocking it in again is Trizin, who is just always there. It really feels, the second the ball pops in front of the goal, he just like warps into position. I don't know what's up with this guy.
Yeah, and I mean, it doesn't come from that trust, that speed, and it might be that Hamilton was expecting this game one to be slower. I think that they weren't expecting the Hilltoppers to come out firing.
I was expecting to be slower.
Exactly, we all were, because we saw how they played earlier. We saw how they played in the regular season, and instead the Hilltoppers said, we've got a new bag of tricks. We're gonna look into our Mary Poppins bag and see if we can find the secret answer, and right now it's certainly working out as Squiz forced to make a save.
Ball's up yet again in orange territory. Tries and allows it to come down. The 1v1 in the opposing half. Unfortunately, not even a bump is going to come out of it. It's Reggie's turn to take a 1v1. Gord playing it down. Risky one up the corner. Again, no good clears coming out from the blue side. Risky's got to challenge him. Somebody please! Oh no, tragedy! As Blue Devils just run out of gas.
I'm going to say that was one of the riskiest starts I've ever seen. And great demo by Hamilton to clear up some space, and a great challenge coming out of the blue defensive side. That was the last defender. And the thing is, Vert is finding these demos and is able to, cut down these rotations that the Hilltoppers want to have. We talk about these teams being passing focused, and that means if you take out that second man, that third isn't ready to enter the play.
Look at the intensity coming out from HHS. In the cat ear headphones, no less. That's a proper gamer right there. Squeezing to the corner, taking this ball down. Again, played back in orange territory. Trizin. There to receive. No, not there to receive. Little risky, but Dark Risky. It's in the name. Careful. Used to it.
Indeed is Trizin. Able to get some control. Looks for a pinch off the side. And good control by Gorgas. Now Vert continuing this pressure, but not quite reading his position well enough. And a booming clear works out. Dangerous ball.
Vert put down. Rudgy put even further down. Now to play out of their half. Use this one-man advantage and slowly turn into something else. Flip across the middle, but you see two players are all the way in the back corner. They're back there getting boost. Vert trying to build maybe a little bit aggressively out of their own half, and now as Ruggy finds a shot, this is a difficult save should the shot come early. Instead decides to flip up for the cross. Tries and not quite on an angle to take this one in, but could set up a teammate.
Yeah, and right there, you could see the communication. You could likely hear Trizin in those comms saying, you don't have a shot, flick it up, I'm here. And they had the full trust. They went for that setup, and if anything else, it's taking time off the clock. They're playing that game of keep away, and while yes, Hamilton has been able to adjust and slow the pace of play and not get scored on, this pressure is still all in the orange box.
Yeah, the possession's been largely blue-sided. Reggie, uncharacteristic miss. Just lets the ball go back and tries it. Gord. Back up. Reggie to play it down. Again, nothing particularly lethal here. We've got 3 orange players in the corner, none of them in front of the net. Ball's not crossing there either. It's a 3-man commit for nothing if a dangerous shot comes in from the other side.
Yeah, and what you're going to see is teams are trying to figure out what they can do to change things up. You might see 2 players go for the ball, might see them start going for fakes, but the Hilltoppers, reading them like a book, finding these moments to strike, and Squiz unable to set anything up, and with just a few seconds left on the clock, this will be the Hilltoppers taking game 1, and with style as Trizen knocks in another.
Hey, a little cherry on top of the sundae here on a nice Saturday afternoon. 5 seconds left. There's not much left to score, but we can talk game because this has been a bit of an interesting one. We saw him come out of the gates just flying, goal after goal after goal. It's definitely slowed down. Blue Devils have picked up the pace, and while they're still on the back foot, still defending a lot, it only takes one of those counterattacks to be a real opportunity.
Exactly, and that's something dangerous I've seen in the Hilltoppers, is at times they'll send all 3 players forward. Now, most of the time, their first is getting out fast enough to re-become that 3rd man. You know, it is this constant cycling of 1-2-3, 1-2-3. You could call it a waltz even, of how this dance of a game is played. And it's really beautiful to see when they're just circling the field perfectly. And we saw that out of the Hilltoppers, where even if they pushed everyone forward, they had that last man back if they needed it.
Yeah, I called him an automotive ballerina earlier, and it's exactly that, but now I'm watching 3 people just dance together. It's making for some great music. Now, though, heading into game number 2, Gracie, it looked amazing. What did you see just watching that from the sidelines, right? It was certainly a lot closer at the end, no?
Dor, I have to say, you got my hopes up because I was hoping for this game 5, and what was that? Are we headed for another sweep?
I can't make any promises I can't keep.
Never again.
Yeah, I'm expecting that, you know, this isn't the end for the Blue Devils.
No.
Obviously, this is just game 1. We talked about adjustments. We've seen them in all of the series today. Game 2 has been where almost every single difference-maker moment has been today, where you're seeing the momentum shift, the tempo change, and it's going to come down to, I think, the Hilltoppers just weren't ready. Or not the Hilltoppers weren't ready. The Blue Devils just weren't ready for the Hilltoppers to come out firing, and now here they are ready to roll, and I'm expecting to see potentially more aggression out of the Blue Devils.
All right, game number 2. I've got my hands up in prayer for a solid game here. Nothing out of the gate. I just want to see slow play because the tension between these 2 teams can really start to build up when nobody starts scoring goals. It's the first one to get desperate that will absolutely be the loser in that trade-off. An immediate shot being taken out by Blue Devils as they try and walk out of the gate with pace in this second game. Trizen, though, calmly deals with all that pressure. Could find an angle on the net here. A tricky little bit of mechanics to get around the ball off the wall. Not something physically possible in our world, but in Rocket League, if you play it just right, you can do that.
Absolutely. And one thing that I'm starting to think of that the Blue Devils might want to look at is, set up for Dark Risky and knocks it right in. Splashes in the face of the Blue Devils as a great score for the Hilltoppers.
Yeah, you got to credit to Trizen for the assist here. Spots an open backboard, undefended. Players rotating off to try and grab boost in the corner, just a little bit greedy. And it takes quick decision-making like that to choose the pass, to choose Dark Risky to finish that off.
Yeah, and one thing I was actually going to bring up before that goal was scored is that in almost every single one of these plays, Trizen is involved, whether he's that first man setting everyone else up, or he is, as we just saw, that direct assist and even scoring goals of his own. It feels like Trizen is that in-game leader, and if you can start to break them down, it allows for maybe some more creativity to come out of the Blue Devils.
In layman's terms, he's go-to with the 6. In his hands, the controller is just a paintbrush. Pass in. Trizen now up the wall. Let's see if we can work a little bit of that Disney magic now. Cross in. We've seen this one before. Going for an air dribble. Late flip reset. Difficult to get underneath that, but a great bit of car control. Unfortunately, 2 defenders is one too many.
Yeah, indeed so. Couldn't get through all that traffic. Nice clear out to Dark Risky. As that's another thing you're going to notice as this quality of play increases and we get through the bracket, how intentioned these touches are. Almost every single time that this player touches the ball, it is either a pass or a carry that they're looking to shoot off of.
Just creating dangerous opportunities, right? From any situation. A pass or a carry is basically the only 2 situations that you get in this game. It's either you're going for it or you're playing it for your team. A lot of great innovation, though, being done here by Hilltops. As they've now changed up their game plan, playing a little bit more carefully through the midfield, playing more patiently. And while the score is 1-0, it's certainly not the same fire starter that we saw last game.
Yeah, absolutely not. But we're still seeing the majority of the time of this game being in that orange box. I'm not saying in the orange half, in the box, that 18-meter radius is so hard to defend as Dark Risky shoots it.
Yeah, just set up again. We're looking at this backboard. It plays one low. Look at this, 3 players cowering in the net, just puppy guarding. There's not much you can do. And again, when that backboard is undefended, that's how you break that 3-man hold, right? They're set up for rotations on the shots from the side, but from the center, off the backboard, you're never winning that 1v1.
Yeah, and whenever you see 3 players planted as Dark Risky scores off of the kickoff, that one
salt in the wound.
Yeah.
Yeah. Insult to injury. Not much you can do about it either. A lost kickoff is a lost kickoff. There's a little bit of skill to it, but sometimes it just doesn't go your way. Great follow-up, though. The Hilltoppers take advantage of it.
Yeah, and that's just something that happens sometimes, you know. You get just the wrong pinch, you can't quite find the right contact you want, and it just goes their way as Squiz looking to step forward. As it seems that one of the adjustments that the Blue Devils are making, they're maybe going for different types of kickoffs. It looked like they intentionally lost that one to feed possession, but weren't able to do too much with it. So I'd like to see some more of that creativity, some more of that unexpected play as Gorg nearly getting a double tap.
Good attempt at the 1v2. Fergalicious Definitions, unfortunately, misses the ball up in the air and gets punished for it with the demolition. 3-on-2, and that player in the corner is not going to be able to get into the play to make the save quite yet. Fortunately, the rest of their team is there. Ball down line wins 1-1v1, but can't get the other 50-50 off. And the players aren't in position anyways. Meanwhile, the Blue Devils are just back trying to gather up a little bit of boost, I think, and defend this next push from Hilltoppers.
Yeah, it's going to be defending this push and striking back out. Otherwise, we might see the exact same scoreline as the last game, but a shot on target saved away by Trizen. As again, that is one of those players to watch out for. But honestly, as we've said with some of these top 3 teams, I mean, every team that has really shown up and shown out, they are triple threats.
As they are. Speaking of triple threats, a triple commit down into the corner. The triple commit, not something you like to see when all 3 players are in the same position on the field. It's not a great look. It's very easy to take advantage of. Forces rotations out. Oh my God!
Oh, Reggie!
He sent him packing! Oh, he was looking the other way! Your Honor, I've witnessed a murder!
Axles demolished, broken, sent to the junkyard. I mean, that is the equivalent of a double pump fake into a 3-point sink in basketball.
He's cross-eyed right now.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just walking through traffic. It's not a 3-point shot. That's a dunk in the middle of 5 teams. It's just absolutely insane, the level of precision that we saw out of this Hilltopper squad, as now it does feel like a matter of time. We're at 4 goals on the clock again, and it's really feeling like a repeat of game 1.
I know how you recover from that. Look, you can score any amount of goals, but getting past the fake, it's one thing to have a player dribbled, but when you get hit with the fake, when he just presses the brakes and you fly right past the ball, it's a whole other thing. I'm having trouble recovering from it. It wasn't even me. Bird, though, has got to do so. A much taller ask for the Blue Devils, who now have the ball to build out of their own half. Bird going for a little risky play of his own. Nice pass, but unfortunately will be intercepted.
Yeah, and what's unfortunate is that the Blue Devils have been shut out, because I've got a feeling that if they get 1 in the net, if they manage to relieve just a little bit of this pressure and can start to strike out, as a 5th is going to enter from Ruggy, but if they can get 1 goal, I've got a feeling they'll shift that mental, because once your mental goes, it doesn't matter how good you are on your best day, it's going to be your worst.
Yeah, it's not looking like a fun day right now for Blue Devils, who are struggling in this match, much more than earlier. Notably, last one looked relatively competitive. This one, though, Hilltoppers have really found their mojo. They're taking advantage of it. That pressure playing up high just looks phenomenal. 1 more to take home. Pack your lunch, ladies and gentlemen, because you are going on a picnic.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Hamilton, they know this game's done. This one's over, and right now the Hilltoppers are maybe just trying to go for style points. But what I want to see out of Hamilton is take this time, you know. While there aren't necessarily timeouts that they can take, these next 30 seconds are ones that they can start thinking, you know, why were they able to get past me? Are we going to focus on solo plays, or are we going to try and interrupt their passing lanes? Because those are both very good options for trying to disrupt this team, but they are just so quick right over top. We can see this pressure doesn't even end in these final 30 seconds.
I'll tell you what I'm going to do in the final 15 seconds. I'm going to write an apology letter to Gracie over there. I made a promise, and it has been far from the truth. Credit to Hilltoppers. Please no. I'll be bankrupt by the end of the day.
We've still got three more potential games. We've still got 1 that they can come back from. And while yes, it has been dominant, you know, Tries and Risky sort of just taking this very dominant role on the Hilltoppers, I've got a feeling that, you know, you enable a couple of these players, you know, you get Ferd a little bit of space. You give Squiz some ability to pass out to the team. and you'd be surprised with what these players can do. I think that they were just shocked with the stylistic differences between Game 1 and 2.
Yeah, it was a big change for them, but they came in, they adapted, and you have to just, like I said, give all the credit in the world to Hilltoppers. They're playing a really, really strong game right now. In Blue Devils, while they could keep up, it's just not quite the same pace. We talked about playing like the Ian Cito moment, right? But this whole team is stepping up, and while it's not the same like mechanical craziness outside of that one fake, that was nasty. But outside of that, it's kind of the team stepping up. The team I'm running out of Team Cito, I guess. But they're running circles around him passing wise, keeping the pressure up, make sure there's no boost. It looks like Blue Devils can hardly just sit and watch.
You're right. Trizen with 3 goals, Rudgy with 3, Darkrisky with 4. So it really is a team effort. But the Blue Devils, they went 13-0 in the regular season. They've been outscored 10-0 in these 2 games. What's going wrong for them?
I'm going to say, I think it's, one, the Hilltoppers have just become that much better. We heard from the Highlanders that they're really the only team they fear in this bracket. They're certainly showing why, and they've continued to improve from, Season 9 to Season 10, and as we see them today. And we also have to remember that not every schedule is made equal as, Squiz, like I said, give him a little space, and he might take a mile. Great clear away. As 10 seconds in, we're already seeing signs of life from the Blue Devils.
Good stuff. Nice clear. Should be able to control it, so they got at least one more man back. That's not where you want to put the ball, though. Right into perfect 50-50 territory. Bird able to control it down. Really awkward stuff back here in the corner, though. Rudgy comes, knocks it clear of everything, jiggles the pinball machine around a little bit. Now they're able to find a cross. Can it be a shot, though? Not quite. Trizen's lurking there around the corner, but it's not quite dangerous enough.
Yeah, and one thing that I'm liking actually about Hilltoppers is their patience whenever there's these 3-man moments, and right there, you're seeing just absolute patience. Wait for a player to commit, and then fire the shot away.
It's just the right opportunity they're waiting for. They've always got that last man lurking, whether it's Darkrisky, whether it's Trizen. Seems to be one of those two a large majority of the time, but they always find that opener. For me, Blue Devils have got to fire back early. They can't let another 2-3-0 goal lead go.
No, because once you sort of put yourself in that deficit, it can be that much more difficult as, again, potentially our final game of the day here on Champions Field. We're going to need to see if there's a champion that will be made in the Blue Devils to try and make this comeback happen.
Trizen now down line. A little bit of miscommunication coming out from the blue side. Uncharacteristic for the Hilltoppers, who have been nothing but a well-oiled machine this whole time. Ruggy control. Ruggy looking to embarrass 3 players. Goes in with the first, goes for the fake, and Fur's not having any of it this time.
And I mean, Ruggy has just been the, I'm going to style pass your entire team. Once with a fake, now looking for another setup. And I mean, this player is out looking for those door style points, but instead tries an easy shot on net, but cleared away. Squiz not able to find the redirect.
All out, Trizen, easy clear. Again, a dangerous player to let have the ball 1v1, but they are able to keep it out of that hand. Now Ferd challenging high. Open net in the back. They should be able to get back to it in time. The shot's not on either. There will be a challenge up this wall, and it's costing a lot of boost here for Hilltoppers to really try and challenge this. This is the opportunity for them to mount that pressure. The backboard's open. The shot's in, and it doesn't quite float there.
Oh, and that is a brutal spot to be in. That's your best opportunity, and everyone came forward, and what happens? Darkrisky booms it right downfield, and a heartbreaking goal to go over to the Hilltoppers. The Blue Devils were just that close.
Oh, man, we warned about pinging these from long as well. I said at the beginning of the series, we didn't really get to see it because it's been phenomenal team play by and large from the Hilltoppers, but if you give Risky the space, he will ping one from the other side of the field, and he will punish you for overcommitting. Blue Devils just getting baited in a little bit much. And now it's danger control. It's really just trying to make sure we don't bleed out and then build up those 2 goals.
Yeah, and I mean, there is still space. There is still an opportunity. We saw the Rams come back from a deficit like this up against the Limes, and I'm expecting that these 2 teams are at a similar caliber of both of those where, one good day, it's going to be the Hamilton who takes it. Another good day, we're seeing the Hilltoppers. It seems they're having their best as they really are getting that land buff, that team buff, and Darkrisky slotting another as we're just about reaching halftime.
Look at him celebrate. Pulling back the arrow, drawing it through. Hilltoppers are feeling themselves. And this is when you see, when you have a team coordinating like this, it's a whole other monster. We saw Ian Cito start to pop off and really just feel himself. And yeah, it looks good on one player, but when your whole team starts getting that morale going, when they get that land buff, there's no stopping it.
Yeah, absolutely. As a boom down, Trizen looks for the shot, taps it in, and that is a really tough spot to be in as the lead grows. And once again, Hilltoppers are at 4-0.
I say when it rains, it pours down here in Florida. And it certainly is looking a little gloomy outside. We got a little bit of wet weather, and doesn't seem to be any different here at Champions Field. 2:25 on the clock. We're just halfway through our game. Or maybe a game, maybe a Hilltoppers exhibition.
Oh, and Rougi just...
Maybe it was a Freudian slip. Maybe it is a Blue Devils execution.
Yeah, it certainly feels like it. And I mean, if we want to look at a playmaker, it's this man right here in the blue Fennec.
Yeah, Roji's been phenomenal for them. Every player has. That's what I was talking about at the beginning of the series, though. Kind of expect every player from this team to just show up, put goals in, because it's not the goals, it's the passes for them. They're placing them perfectly, setting them up beautifully. Tries it in for another one. Flying past the ball. Should be an easy knock-in. Just goes wide. You know, poor Hilltoppers. They don't get 6 goals. Oh me, oh my.
And I will say there's still 2 minutes remaining. So the Blue Devils, they of course have a shot, but they would need to start connecting right here, right now. And to me, it goes back to the start of this game where there was that floater in front of the net, in front of the blue net, when it was still just 1 goal up for the Hilltoppers. And I feel after that opportunity was lost, some of the mental for Hamilton has started to falter.
Tries it in. Borg looking for an opportunity. But there's nothing there. Roji just punishes another. We don't have a mercy rule. Dude, man, Blue Devils, they had everything in the series. Game 2 looked like a great restart for them. But it's not looking like it here in game number 3. I think the digging deep down has been dug.
Yeah, and I mean, you've got to wonder because we know that the Blue Devils, on average, are a better team than this. You don't go undefeated in the regular season and struggle this hard up against, you know, the team that's seated right in front of you. But it does come down to, you know, that mental, that exhaustion. We have to remember, this is a long weekend for these players. This is their first time traveling, first time in a new environment. You're not at home at your computer where you're used to playing. You're out, you're in front of a stage, you're in front of an audience, and for some players, they turn into Lanimals, and others, they struggle.
Another shot in could mean another goal. We still haven't seen that 20 this weekend. I don't think it's happening in this game. But there's plenty of time left. Ooh, off both posts. Finally put in by Trizon, waiting and lurking. Basically, outside of their net, that whole, 16-meter room, it's just shark-infested waters.
Yeah, it really does feel like it is shark-infested waters, and the Blue Devils are nothing but minnows at this point.
50 seconds, a playground now for Hilltoppers. They go on. We talked about the top 3 looking pretty dominant. We thought the gap was closing. This game really aims to reassert that for the Hilltoppers because it really has been just a measuring up of one to the next to see who is the biggest bad of them all.
Yeah, that really is sort of the statement. Who is the biggest bad? And right now, 3 teams stand out to me. It is the Hilltoppers, it is the Wildcats, and of course the Highlanders with the Rams looking to be that dark horse or dark ram, if you will.
More like same thing. 15 seconds now. See if we can get one more. Blue Devils, come on, put one in the back of the net, get across field. Everyone's rooting for you at this point. A single elim, one styler from afar. Cross in, off the top post. 4 seconds, and it looks like it's just gonna go to the other side of the field. Squeeze can't quite bring it up, and it's Hilltoppers letting one go. You can see them take their little victory walk across, and there's really not much else you can do about it at the end of the day.
Absolutely not, as I mean, we're seeing Trizon come forward. The Hilltoppers played an absolutely incredible game, and it's great to see the sportsmanship from these players, of course, as they recognize, everyone here is a formidable opponent, and sometimes it is just being better on the day. It's not that, they're always a better team, because I've got a feeling that next season we're going to come in and the Blue Devils are going to answer back as, care to explain what's going on that head?
I can't look any more ridiculous after predicting a 5-game series.
Yeah, I was about to say.
It doesn't get any better. So I guess I'll just sit like this. We can hope for the Hilltoppers' sake, though, that they maintain this, because going up against the likes of Encino, what wins? That team play that we just saw pop off, or the incredible mechanical prowess?
I mean, this was the only match. Hilltoppers just won 17-0, a combined 17 goals. Our first...
They did that earlier, but in one game.
Yeah. Okay, wow. That's crazy.
Well, yeah. I think it was the Wildcats who did that.
Was it? Oh,
yeah,
boy.
Okay.
Bunch of high scorers this weekend.
Yeah.
Another good one. Yeah, and I was about to say, okay, so Summit comes out and dominates. Now their reward is, they get the top-seeded Wildcats.
Yeah.
So a lot of fireworks in that one.
Yeah. Certainly a ton of fireworks. Again, we brought in the Wildcats as one of those top dogs. And the Hilltoppers looking very, very strong. And from what I saw today, the Hilltoppers have a few more mechanical moments than I've seen out of the Wildcats. Now, of course, the Wildcats trust each other so much more than I think almost any team here, save maybe the Highlanders, and that will be relevant. But we're going to have to see if they can match that pace of play, match that style. I mean, Rudgy just going absolutely crazy, finding these stylistic moments. It's been absolutely beautiful, and we're going to have to see how they handle that.
Yeah, we talked about having not just a consistent team, but if you can have one of those players just come up, not even a ton, right? If you're a team that relies on that team play, on the passing play, all you need is one player to find one or two mechanical plays in there, and we absolutely got it. A couple axles broken, some nice air dribbles on top of it. It was a fun series altogether. We really got to see the full breadth of Rocket League.
Yeah, that we most certainly did. We were able to see, I mean, the Hilltoppers show that they have mechanics. They have passing plays. They have the ability to, introduce demos in the back line if they need it. And the fact that they have all of these parts of their arsenal, and so do the Wildcats, I've got a feeling that once we enter the semifinals, it is going to be a very, very interesting series of events as all of these teams, again, best of the best of the best, we're going into the top 4.
All right, well, in a battle of New Jersey bragging rights, Summit knocks off Hamilton, and now we go to the gaming floor where Septilence is standing by with the winners.
Hey everybody, me again, and this time I am joined by Summit, the team that I've probably known the longest out of all high school teams here, and they are living up, just doing Summit things. So the first question, we are down to very few teams at this point. Are there any teams you guys are like, let's do it, let's get them out of here, head to head?
I mean, next team, I guess.
Whoever the next team is, absolutely. So I want to ask, you guys had an insane success up there, 17-0, right? You guys are certainly no stranger to that, as we learned yesterday. But what do you think it was that enabled you to consistently find these goals and to shut out a team so aggressively?
I think as our team chemistry, we've played together for like 5-6 years now.
That-
We're used to playing with each other. We kind of like, you don't even have to calm at a certain point. We kind of just know where we like each other are.
Absolutely. So a question, kind of a little more outside of the game. What does something like this mean for your program? I know you guys have been around for a while. I've seen you guys quite a few times, but to make it here, to make it all the way to a semifinal, I believe, what does that mean for your program as a whole?
So our program is not really the most known in our school, so I think it makes like a big statement. Like people are like, oh, these guys are good. They know what they're doing. So it puts more like awareness in our program, and it just like encourages more people to join because, it's fun.
It is fun. I can vouch for that, and I can vouch these guys are good. I've seen them quite a few times, and I can say that they are good, but I think that's all we've got going on down here, so I'll head it right back up to you guys.
All right, thanks, Septilence. Awesome. All right, that concludes our final match of the Rocket League quarterfinals in this EGF High School National Championship. When we come back, previewing the semifinal matchups tomorrow and our Intel core moment of the match. Welcome back into the 2022 EGF High School Rocket League National Championship. We just witnessed the Summit Hill Toppers absolutely obliterate the Hamilton Blue Devils, a 3-0 sweep. Not only that, a bunch of goose eggs on the board. Summit won by a combined 17-0 goals. But there was one guy in particular who blew all of our minds. And guys, you have the Intel core moment of the match.
It couldn't be any other than this. Oh, I can hardly watch. Cover your eyes. Parents, this is not suitable for children. This one, as Rudgy takes it down past two players, the first, and gets the second one. Baitelman doesn't give him anything to work with. Beautifully done. And this is the play that you just really want to forget about if you're on the receiving end of.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing is, you look at that play, and it's like, oh, he didn't touch the ball a second time. No, he touched it with like 1 pixel. That was just enough to get past the wheels of the person trying to challenge, because if that challenge goes through, it's a boom going the other direction. Yeah. Instead, it's another goal.
No, it looked absolutely ridiculous. Every time you do it, you feel pain for the other side more than you feel anything. But I'm sure Rudgy's reveling in it, and it was a lot of fun to watch from the sidelines as well.
Yeah, and here in studio, I almost jumped out of my chair when you guys called that. How rare is it to pull off a move like that?
Look, it's just the epitome of styling on someone. Like, it's one thing to have the ball on the left side of your car, challenge somebody, and, like, flick it over them, right? Because they may not be in position to challenge you. They may be this. But when someone's soaring at you, and your response is to not move at all, it's a whole other thing. It's, you know, we saw the flip reset earlier. It's flashy, but you really want to style on someone, do nothing.
Yeah, because it's sort of like saying, I don't even need to move to fake you out. Yeah. You know, you'll be your own worst enemy. I've gotten in your head to the point that you expect me to move here, and I'm just going to sit back, do nothing, and let you make a fool of yourself. And that's how it feels to some of these players. Again, it is, you know, some of that, like, I guess, trash-talking culture that can exist in Rocket League, or just the styling culture, you know, freestyling, wanting to have these clips and just completely pop off.
Sounds like the ultimate flex, just living rent-free in someone's head. Don't want to be on the receiving end of that. All right, let's take a look at our bracket now. There are 4 teams remaining in this Rocket League National Championship. We have Wilson Central taking on Summit and Palm Beach Lakes taking on Lake Wales. Guys, what stands out to you about these 2 semifinals tomorrow?
I'm looking at who's coming in hot. Honestly, it's not the same momentum that you come from today. Obviously, everyone's going to go rest, so the team's going to get a mental reset. Everyone gets a new chance, a new roll of the dice to see if they can come out with their players just having a good day. Obviously, Ian Cito was a huge highlight for just the entirety of those quarterfinals, but doesn't show up tomorrow. We're not quite sure. I think all things said, things do look relatively even. I don't know if I can guarantee like 5-game series dependent on just who pops off here, but I think I could guarantee a pretty solid final no matter who comes out of this. Look, we got 4 amazing teams. The odds that 2 of them are on fire today are pretty high.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if we're looking at both of these, obviously the storylines have been Lake Wales and the Wildcats. Those 2 teams are the ones to watch out for, as obviously they were top 2 seeds coming in, and they have performed to those expectations. But we look at the Hilltoppers. They did something that not even the Wildcats could do, and that was a 17-0, a complete series shutout. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Wildcats aren't ready for that kind of heat. And when we look at Lake Wales, the only team they're afraid of are those Hilltoppers. So if the Wildcats can take them out, maybe it's just, you know, guaranteed Lake Wales victory, or instead it's just going to show how strong every team here is.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you can't take the heat, we're going to kick you out of the kitchen pretty quickly. It's single elim all the way, and those matches start at 10 with the pre-show at 9:30, so you guys don't want to miss it.
So looking at those team records, there's 3 teams, Wildcats, Hilltoppers, and Highlanders, who all won in a sweep today. Out of those 3, do you think any of them are gonna, you know, get too cocky, or do any of them, you know?
Someone's got to lose tomorrow.
Yeah. Who's the most likely, do you think?
The most likely? I think the Hilltoppers had a bit more of a fragile win. Rudgy had some real highlights in there, and while, yes, they had a fantastic shutout, I think against some of the teams that can bring that real pace to the floor, all of a sudden I think those rotations are going to be challenged a bit more as well. We saw a lot of demos being brought out earlier on in the day. That can certainly mess with a team like Hilltoppers, so I want to see them come in tomorrow ready and prepared to adapt, because a lot of crazy things are going to be thrown at them, whether it's mechanics, whether it's demos, or a change in strategy from other teams.
All right, lots of action today. We'll see who is crowned the champion tomorrow. For Door J Turbo, I'm Grace Remington. Thank you for watching our coverage of the Rocket League quarterfinals today. Our preview of the semifinals and grand finals start tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. Gameplay starts at 10 a.m. on ESPN 3. We'll see you there.